show! From Michael Bay to Marvel, UK, and every workload in between. Breaking news and toy reviews, every robot stands wet dream. Grab a brew and join the crew, become part of our scene. Bring your own, let's drink our own, make sure you're at least 18. Welcome to the show, the party and the flow. Friday nights, let's go, Transformers the show.
Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to Transformers the Show, episode 246. I am your host, Andy, aka Crankcase79, and I'm joined by our regular hosts, the legend that is Lord Jamie Liddell, Master of Photography. And of course, we also have the nicest guy in the Transformers fandom, maybe. We've got Pete. We are very lucky tonight, though, to be joined by two of the greatest members of the UK Transformers community, legends, both of them. And that is Spider-Father, a.k.a. Mellow Shade, a.k.a. Lee. And also we are joined by the always lovely Bisto Yeti. Are you all right, lads?
Yep. Good evening, everyone.
That's a lot high energy I like to see at the start of the show. We've got a packed show tonight. We've got loads of stuff to get through. We're going to be doing our top 5 Optimus Prime characters and toys, because they might not be exactly the same during our foreplay. We've also got discussion about Transformers 1 and the possible sequel and what we'd like to see. We'll be talking about the recent Hasbro layoffs, and we'll have all the usual news, pickups, and everything that we do every week. So we shall crack on straight away with the news.
I talk some TV, and now the news. Don't touch that dial.
So there's quite a lot of news this week. There always seems to be quite a lot of news, to be fair, but there is quite a lot of news this week. We'll start off with these 3.0 MDLX Seekers. So we've had a couple of new ones revealed. This is Sunstorm, obviously based off the kind of standard Seeker mold, the Starscream mold that I think we've seen before. I think we've also seen Starscream, Thundercracker and Skywarp. There you go, get my words out. Anybody collect these? Anybody excited about these particular ones?
I have the Starscream. Great figure, absolutely beautiful, but the feet are a bit shit, so it's hard to stand up. Doesn't come with a flight stand, and it's, I think, for a premium line, especially a Seeker, you should pack him with a flight stand.
I think
kind of surprised
we talked about the feet being crap before, when we originally saw the Starscream and Thundercracker and Skywarp line, and it's just bad, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
they chose these feet deliberately, and they're pish.
Really hard to stand them up. Just give a flight stand, would have just solved all that problems and would have been cool to pose. Love the colours on these.
But a decent, you know, that may have solved.
I know, but you want them. Do you want to pose? You want to have on your shelf posed like that?
Not me.
That's how it excels in a really dynamic flight pose.
Jamie's static, standing straight.
They call it my working class background, but I think we should be able to stand on our own 2 feet.
Yeah, that's the one. Anyway, there's also Acid Storm, of course. If we've got Sunstorm, we'll have an Acid Storm. Same thing again, but this time in green.
It's like an apple Jolly Rancher, isn't it?
Yeah, the colours really pop. They look beautiful. No connection to the characters.
No. Well, they're not broadly well-known characters, are they, really?
Well, I don't think they have characters, do they? They just have names and colours.
They've kind of appeared in a bit of fiction.
What else do you want? What more? I don't know. I like my evil villains to know poetry.
yeah, Skybound. Damn right.
Tomorrow's the 26th, isn't it? I believe these are up for pre-order, at least on Big Bad Toy Store tomorrow. So if people are wanting to pick these up, you'll have that opportunity. Of course, you won't be able to get it into that pose because it won't come with a flight stand, but you can buy one, I'm sure, and it'll be all right. Or just lay him on his stomach, lay him on his belly. That might work too.
I'll get your partner to hold it like that for
and just fly around the room for you. Do you ever pick up anything like this, Lee? Do you have any of these?
No, I'm not paying that kind of money for something that don't turn into anything. And I've got a Masterpiece Acid Storm. I've got 2 Masterpiece Sunstorms. I don't need a big figure of those characters that doesn't do anything except stand there.
Go on, Lee, suck it to him.
How much do these cost then?
MDLX.
100 quid.
You calm down. How much was that? Sorry,
100 quid.
About 100 quid. Yeah.
I mean, there are people out there who who want the robots but aren't ever going to transform them. So there's a market for it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Of course. Yeah. I think we see
It's
a
like
lot of that
people
at the moment, don't we?
who buy
And
geared
that's-
cars, don't they? Shift cars, and people who buy automatics. There's different types of people out there. People with skill, people with no skill.
And I bought the MDLX Sideswipe, and it's the most beautiful thing I've bought this year. And it's just it's joyous. But I'm really connected to
Have you
Sideswipe as a
tried
character.
transforming it? Have you tried transforming it, Bristol, yet?
No,
I wouldn't recommend it.
I've got a Matchbox Lamborghini. I've not tried transforming that either. But
Anyway,
Negative
I
attitude there.
assume this hints we're getting another one, which might be that Ion Storm. Is that the blue one? Anyway, there you go. So there is that. We also had some photos over the last weekend of the Hasbro breakfast they do at the New York Comic Con, where a number of people got invited along to actually have a look at the new reveals that we saw.
That is good.
Before, 2 days
That's
before.
the only thing that brought a smile to my face.
So that's Hatchet, the Dark of the
Yeah.
Moon Studio Series figure, which we have had a version of before, but it turned into a Typhoon. It was a smaller one, and it turned into a Typhoon fighter. This one actually turns into what he turned into in the film. Apparently a shell former.
It's just something cool about it, and I think I quite liked it for Ghostbusters for some strange reason. I just thought it
yeah.
It does have that look a little bit, doesn't it? So anyway, we've got that. So those people who have the other two, was it Crankcase and Crowbar? You'll be able to complete your dreads. Yeah. I do like it, but I mean, it is basically just the car mode sitting on the top of it. But what can you do?
Yeah,
And then
God, not this. Hopefully we don't get barred, but that is I don't know. I would.
I'll be fuming. Anyway, Galvatron. So
Well,
he's a different color, and he's got
He's not
an
good.
opaque barrel on his. It's not a fusion cannon; it's a particle cannon. But that's literally the only difference that I'm aware of between this and the release.
You have to be honest with people. You're buying a repaint. I think people are really disappointed because it's Studio Series 86. We had the Magic put on Ultra Magnus, the Magic done in Optimus Prime. We thought we were going to get something similar with Galvatron, and no, we didn't. And we could at least have gave us fucking hands that opened and closed, articulated. And I'm not going to apologise to swearing because they could have did the minimal for that. Studio Series 86, they set a new standard. And if the layoffs are to do with the fact that they're getting rid of these people who would want this kind of stuff, then Hasbro, I'm just disappointed, and I've not calmed down. I'm actually maybe even more annoyed now when I think about it.
What if they've laid off the people that stopped us having open hands? So this stopped going
Well,
forward.
that would be good.
Oh dear. Right. All right. We'll move on. This is Double Punch, I think it's called, which is the Scorponok repaint from Rise of the Beasts. Yeah.
See, I don't mind that too much. The colours are good.
See, these colours were originally assigned to Sandstorm, who's also been a Scorponok repaint, when they were doing all of the concepts. And Hasbro did say when they unveiled Scorponok at MCM London, they said, we've got repaints planned. So I don't know if this is the only one we're going to get or if they've got more down the line.
Yeah, I guess that, well, they should know by now, but it might depend on the sales, I suppose.
I don't know what it does depend on the sales because I have no fucking idea what was going for the heads when they picked Galvatron, because obviously it had nothing to do with the sales that went on with that, which became a bit of a shelf warmer and a disaster with alternative shoulders. They should have put the Magic in there. They should have did something. Because the whole thing is, Ultra Magnus and Galvatron were iconic G1 toys. They were mirror images of each other, the leader class, the new city commanders, as they were advertised at the time.
Yeah, if Ultra Magnus is getting a commander class, then Galvatron's got to be up there with him.
Yeah.
Although they said with Optimus Prime, we probably just get a repaint of the Kingdom one.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. I'm hoping.
Dark
I
Days.
don't know. It's a good figure, but it does feels like they've got.
I see it side by side with the old figure because this is you can't really tell how different the purple hue is unless you can compare it to the thing you've already got.
True. But there you go. That was the breakfast that they had. They did have some other things that were on show again. So the Star Wars crossover figure, the retro G1 mini bots, and the War for Cybertron Skywarp were also there.
But
some of these
I
things.
just think there should be a bigger talking point, and I don't know if it's because all the top reviewers and are getting bought off by getting free samples from Hasbro all the time, but they all seem to be quite quiet about it or slightly positive. But I think they should start to be honest and go, dear God, this is another repaint of something that should have been better. And I think Hasbro are in trouble if they think people are going to keep shelling out money. I'm like one of the idiots that would do, but even I've got a limit, you know. And I'm thinking, I just expect better because we've had better. And if I see like we're going backwards, no, it's just not going to work. It's not going to fly.
Well, it'll be interesting what we see at this weekend's Comic Con, won't it? And the Hasbro Pulse reveal on the 27th. Anyway, there's these.
They still taken Gears' chest off in the package, even though he's in a plastic blister.
They have, yes. Yes, they've packaged him the same way. I'm assuming it's to avoid rub against the plastic that's across him, but that's the only thing I can think of. And there's the Bumblebee with, as some people have pointed out, the wrong head, because it's not the toy head, even though it's the toy. There you go. Anyway, then we had... and I know DNA obviously is third party, but these are 4 mainline figures. These teasers from DNA Designs, and they have teased what appears to be an upgrade for possibly for Legacy Motormaster, similar to the one they did for the animated Optimus Prime. We get an animated Motormaster one.
That's obviously his sword, because that's
well, the sword does look like it, doesn't it? I think that's
just the way he stood.
And I think
there's a bit of crotch thrust going on there.
I wonder if the shoulders are different, so they look more like Minosaur shoulders instead of having the guns.
Yeah, maybe. And then the other one is an upgrade kit for Dino King, which has obviously only just recently been released. So that's coming at some point in the near future. And then we have, well, how long has it been? How far are we into the show before we've got our first look at some blockies? Yes. This is the classic class Sentinel Prime. And this is the blockies one. This is from Notchard and his photos again. Pete, you and Jamie, you've got this ordered, haven't you? Or you rather, you know what I mean? It's on its way.
They're due to come in. And all I can say is it just reminds me how bad Galvatron is and how disappointed we all should be about how bad Galvatron actually is.
I feel like you're going to bring this up on a regular occasion.
Do you know what? My experience, especially dealing with blockies, who I really enjoy the toys and all that, but I'm thinking to myself, I've got a decent life, I've got a good job and stuff like that. I don't want free stuff if it means selling my fucking soul. I don't care. No. You can I'm just not doing that.
Is that related to Galvatron again?
Yes, because Galvatron's fish.
You just meant generally.
And I was thinking,
are you making a deal with the devil?
It was a dream toy. We all lived through the era. We're progenitors. Most of us here are progenitors of the original Transformer fans. We were there from the beginning. And to be let down like that is in its 40th anniversary as well. The thing is as people have pointed out, the paint color is nice. So people first time buying it, and not everyone was lucky enough to get Galvatron the first time around. So they'll be joyous, these fortunate souls. Not many of them, but they will be joyous. But and this is the important thing, is Hasbro will probably release a new Galvatron updated with hands, and I'll buy it.
Well,
they will do.
Do you want a crackpot theory for you, Jamie? They've designed a Commander Class one. They've put it in the back pocket. 2026, 40th anniversary of the movie. Boom, there you go, Galvatron.
Bastards.
Yeah.
They'll do it.
We shall see.
Yeah, they do that.
However, Sentinel Prime looks really good.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's a really good chat about Sentinel there, but there it is with the team looking rather spiffing there for those.
Yeah, I actually
all his friends
ordered the Cogless versions of the. I'm not sure. I think it's Yolo Park. The
Yeah,
Yolo
that
Park.
Oh, the
Yellow
Yellow
Park
Park
we're
ones.
talking
Yeah,
about,
yeah. They look good as well. They do. They do.
They all
Right,
look exceptional.
We will be talking about this a little bit later on, but there have been quite significant layoffs at Hasbro. I believe I read around 100 members of staff who've been let go, the most high profile of which appears to be John Warden, who had only recently returned back to the Transformers brand as kind of to lead it on, and he's gone. So, yeah, very interesting. I'm sure we'll talk a bit more about that later on in the discussion. Another little bit of controversy we had this week was a story run by Cybertron.com, which was basically a bit of a clickbait story, misusing a quote from Triple Takeover Podcast's interview with, I believe it was the production designer of.
It wasn't so
Triple
much
One?
the article and the misuse of the quote, because the quote was kind of okay. It just the quote wasn't within any context. But the worst thing was the headline they used. The headline was a complete lie, and they were trying to use the quote as evidence for that. And if you read the article, it didn't even relate to the headline they used. So it just was a clickbait headline. And most people didn't read the article. They responded to the headline. And then even in Facebook forums, you can see people responding just to the headline.
Yeah.
And then there's
Cybertron
thing is-
quite down on the movie anyway. They haven't been positive or excited about it. They've just been reporting the negatives.
Well, they had to take it
Okay.
down, didn't they? They actually removed the post and then put up another post, which was written in a much more balanced and coherent way, with an apology to Triple Takeover and the producers of the film, as a little note at the bottom of it. So they obviously somebody's had a word with them very quickly, and they have corrected
not
their
quick
mistake.
enough. It was there for like 7 7
Well, the
hours.
problem is once it's up there, of course, everybody's sharing it as well. So I mean,
Yeah.
there's still screenshots of it around for people who didn't see it. But anyway, Triple Takeover were so frustrated by it that they decided to actually release the actual full interview with Jason Schreier early. So this would have gone out a bit later on, but they've actually released it early for everybody because they basically wanted to clear this up and make sure that people could hear it in context. So if you haven't had a listen or you've not subscribed to Triple Takeover, it's worth a good listen, and it's worth subscribing to their Patreon. And that was the amended article that you can find now on their website on Cybertron.
I mean, the thing I find annoying was there's so many people who obviously liked Transformers 1, and yet there were some of the people sharing the article and just commenting off the headline.
Yeah,
You know,
it
and
was
you just
people who hadn't even read the article or seen the film. There was a lot of people making comments on it, and it's just a bit frustrating. There you go. Right. Anyway, 3-0 DLX collectibles. We saw.
But is
this
that good
lockdown
enough,
last week.
Andy? Is it good enough? We talk about that empathy, don't we? The
What,
lack of
lockdown?
it. Oh no, the fact is that people just
right.
go, "Oh yeah, I shared the article without reading it." You're part of the problem. You should have been reading it or not sharing the damn.
Well, they should be,
article.
but not everybody, unfortunately, puts that much thought into these things, Jamie, do they? That's the problem. Some people are happy just to use it for their own narrative and ignore kind of the facts around it. Anyway, Optimus Prime and Lockdown. We saw some photos of this Lockdown last week. These are, I believe, now up for pre-order for those people who do want to collect them. I know that Bayverse of Madness last week was very excited about this Lockdown. And it is a very intricate figure. It is a very good representation of what we saw on the screen.
You could shave with that figure, couldn't you?
You
It just looks
definitely
razor
could.
sharp.
I mean, even the Optimus Prime looks like you'd nick yourself if nothing else. Cybertron mode, as he is from the Bumblebee movie. Crotch thrust, standard. Why? I just don't get why. Why?
I don't think I could do that crotch first anymore. But
Oh, I can't. No. Those years are well behind me. Break my back. Anyway, speaking of that, there's the back of it.
I heard a pigeon got locked in the Hasbro offices over the weekend, and by the time it was released, it had acquired a license to produce non-transforming Transformers figures.
I look forward to seeing those. There's not enough about. And then speaking of Galvatron, because it's everybody's favorite, these are photos of Galvatron
I think the colour's excellent.
from Meme Tronus, also known as Transmeme on eBay. So I'm sure these came from a perfectly reputable source. But there are some photos that do show a bit of a comparison, certainly with the Studio Series 86 Prime. At least I'm pretty certain it is.
But why
I'm
is no one
sure.
comparing it to another Galvatron, which
I
is
don't
the
know
important
why.
comparison?
You'd
Why
think
has
you
he
would.
got it in the upper shoulder? It should be in the fucking forearm if you're a fan of the comic and some of the cartoon scenes. Some of them, might argue.
It's the
You're gonna
movie
get angry
Galvatron.
about that now. Put the cannon in the right place, for God's
If
sake.
you can't put the can in the right place, you shouldn't fucking take the photo. I'm just saying.
You don't do the toy. Anyway, there they are. And that's a better one for seeing height-wise how they scale. I mean, they do.
Yeah.
I wonder if they just put them next to each other and gone, they scale quite well. Let's just stick this back out again.
Because they share a lot of screen time together.
Well,
In the Headmasters,
all
they
the
do.
time.
Yeah.
End of season 3.
Even Juraxis' hands open and
You see,
close.
yeah,
Dear God.
Jamie,
Okay,
if
slap
his
on the wrist
hands
there.
could open, they could do that iconic handshake at the end of the Return of Optimus Prime.
Yes, they
could.
could. And he could do the iconic strangling of Hot Rod.
Yeah, the best feature.
Yeah.
The best thing he ever did. Right, what else did we have? This was apparently is on a wall in Wales, and it was our own Mr. Farrelly who found this and shared this photo with us, which is quite a cool little bit of promotion for
I
Transformers
don't
1.
think Wales have invented colour yet, so I'm very suspicious of this.
Well,
Is
I wasn't
this
sure Wales
Brad's
existed.
house?
But... yeah, it's the side of Ed's house.
Yeah.
Ed and Brad,
What-
they live back to
If
back.
you're gonna,
Mhm.
advertise it in Wales, why wasn't it Transformers 1? Get thee down the mine.
Stereotypes, yeah. I love
Actually,
it.
opening up the racist door away because now I can go.
Yeah, because we were so popular in Wales. Anyway. Anyway, so last week we shared some photos from Notrab that were labeled as being photos of classic blockies, but it actually turned out they were the Way Studios ones. So not Dame Chop, rather. Oh, come on, son, you're normally better than that. So these are the Way Studio ones, correctly labeled. Now, before anybody says, oh, do they transform? They do not transform, but you can buy the vehicle modes and you can buy the robot modes. $105 each, separately, yes.
Oh, what a bit-
Is my understanding, at least, from the information that I've read. So, yeah.
Yeah, you must be right.
These photos
because
don't make it look as good as Not Trusted, though, personally,
'Cause-
from a personal point of view.
I think Hasbro have only released once, haven't they, to allow
Yeah,
third parties to
transformation.
transform something. Apart from Takada, who seem to be getting into hooks with the people who did the what do you call it, the cool models.
I remember in 2007 when Hasbro's diktat for any licensee was they have to transform. Whatever you're releasing, it has to transform, which is why we had all that NAF spy stuff that had little pop-up bits, like a microphone with an opening flap or something.
These photos, I will give
Yeah.
credit to Shio Lau, who took the photos. Yeah, my understanding was these are non-transforming. I'm wondering if this, though, is going to be like, we saw a kit, didn't we? Was it a cardboard kit or something where you could take it apart and then put it together again, kind of so it resembled the truck mode? But I'm not quite sure how you do that with this. But yeah, I know I've seen photos somebody had of just the vehicles, so we shall see. $105 is apparently how much these will cost you for a non-transforming.
That's MLDX money.
Yeah, is that how we're going to refer to that now? That's it. MLDX money. Oof. How much did your MOT cost you? MLDX money. Yeah, there's Megs. And they do have lights, as you can see from the Prime statue.
I've
a
got
little
to
bit
say,
better.
the photos last week had me really convinced I wanted to get them, but these photos, not so much.
Exactly. I'm not. I don't wish to be insulting towards lovely Sister Gio Lau or Mrs. or whatever. But yeah, I don't know why, but it just last week I was looking at them going, damn, they look good, and this week I'm kind of going, well, it looks all
It's
right.
that Novab guy, isn't it? He's like a wizard with a camera. He's like black
He
magic or something.
He does do very well.
Is that on someone's foot?
I hope so. Somebody's laid on their back with their foot in the air.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
One
it's
of
a
like-
the
very
foot fetishes.
specific audience in mind.
Oh, I really hope that's the case. Oh no, it's a hand.
No,
Oh,
it's a
that's a
hand.
shame. That's a shame. There's a lot of very disappointed people now, I'm sure, somewhere.
I mean, I do like that
Anyway.
tank mode, but I don't think I pay 100 quid for it and it doesn't do anything.
No.
Need to shoot.
DNA are also making a upgrade kit for the 40th anniversary Nemesis Prime, the Rise of the Beast one. Jamie, have you got that one? Is that the
Rise of the
Beast.
Kara one?
Lee does.
Lee, you've got
Lee
it as
does.
well. So this is an upgrade kit for that, which you may or may not be interested in. I don't sell
It's
them.
not a great figure. compared to the previous Studio Series Optimus Prime mold. So yeah, I probably will get that to try and make it a bit better.
Is it mostly
More
weaponry?
money at it.
Yeah,
They're just so expensive.
I've not spent enough on
aren't
it.
they? The DNA.
Was this
kits
about
are
50 or 60
so
pound?
Yeah.
I mean, for the actual main figure, and then if you're paying a similar amount for the DNA kit, that
I think
is
it
a
was
lot
like
of money.
70 quid.
It's like
Because
putting
it was-
lipstick on a pig, isn't it?
It was
Polishing a
convention
turd.
exclusive in Japan only, but a lot of people were able to get hold of it.
Yeah. Well, they were
Back to-
imported.
I like
from
that it's got
Ireland,
a
toys.
trailer hitch. That'd be useful.
and it comes, I'm assuming, with that little figure of I've forgotten his name. What was he called from Rise of the Beast? Noah. Thank you. Yeah, it comes with that as well. And then some late breaking news from TFW 2005 board member backup. We have Transformers Masterpiece MPG-08 Trainbot Yamabuki, which I was wondering why it was yellow because wasn't the original white, but apparently it is just just the colours they've given to it this time.
It's just faded.
I don't know why. Yeah,
I think it's
So-
based on
Pre-release.
a famous train in Japan.
there you go. I'm not a train guy. I'm not sure if that's coming across. But there's the packaging. There's no pictures of this in its robot mode yet, apparently, other than the ones we see on the packaging, obviously. But if you like your trains, that certainly is a train. And it comes with a Diaclone-inspired combiner head as well. So you will be able to have an alternative head to the kind of, I guess, the one you'd normally expect from it. There it is next to its G1 counterpart.
I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of G1 versions that are that color now.
Yeah,
that guy does.
undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. I mean, obviously, it cleans up quite well. I mean, you can tell there's a robot under there, but not blatantly.
There aren't that many Masterpiece fembots, so.
Oh, yes, it's a fembot as well. Yes, well rememberedly, because I'd forgotten about that.
Well,
This is
I've got it
apparently now-
pre-ordered. It's going to show up one day. I'm going to think, oh, good.
And there's that alternative head.
Uh,
I'm not sure what that's supposed to be, but it's turned into
I
something.
think it's because the head on the original G1 figure is the front of KN, and that's how it transforms. It's the front of the train that
Right.
opens up, I think.
Okay, well, that makes more sense. And there's a couple of collector cards that come with it, showing off the combined mode and the bot as well. And I think, oh no, there was one other late thing, which is this. And supposedly, this is our first look at the Studio Series Rise of the Beasts leader Ape Link. So I believe Prime versus Prime is the one who'd shared a couple of photos online of what is purported to be the new Ape Link figure, and obviously it's a retool of the Primal figure that we have had previously. I don't know why there's gaps for his legs, but there you go. It looks because they cut the hand out, isn't it? It's where he's holding it. They've just somebody's just got the hand
Maybe
out.
he's got a tattoo on his thumb that's easily identified.
Oh dear, yeah.
But I really
Why has he
like
got no
the
legs?
Primal Primal figure. It's really posable. It's a really good figure. So I'm
It's a
looking forward to
really
it.
good action figure, apart from the 8-bit, where I think they could have gave it a little bit more articulation and sorted out the movement of the shoulders, etc. And the feet.
For the original Primal.
Yeah, for Rise of the Beast Primal figure.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That was late breaking news that we managed to bring you because we're good like that. So
And I think they should start making heads swappable in Transformers, really, like they do with GI Joe figures and Legend figures and Star Wars figures. They should start bringing that into Transformers.
Yeah, more
They did it with
expression.
Ultra Magnus. Yeah.
We should have an
Right.
angry Galvatron face to replace his sort of meh face.
Method.
Galvatron
Yeah.
is mostly screaming at people.
And insane.
Definitely.
Right, third party news.
Battle this.
It's heavy metal cruncher time as Optimus Prime goes toe-to-toe with combat Megatron. Prime is one tough dude underneath his hood. He's a transformer missile fire phenomenon. Combat Megatron is combat armed. His mighty mega missiles are slamming. He can mad out more for use mega force, but combat Optimus is still standing.
Right, here we go then. So, a bit of third party news for you. Iron Romance Workshop, IRS-01 Bloody Asura by Magicube of TFW 2005. This is a Legend scale Rampage. Have I got that right, Bisto?
Yes.
Yeah. Wasn't this on the news last week?
These are in-hand photos of it. The other ones were like by somebody else.
Just want the crab crotch back again. That's the.
We want of course we do. Look at that. It's a crab crotch. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. I believe these are also available from Primetime Toys. Should anybody wish to buy these, I didn't realize originally that they were legend scale when I first saw it, but yeah, apparently
a lot of arms on a legend, there, isn't it?
Yeah, well, legendary. I mean, it does. If you're a Beast Wars fan, and is this trans metal or am I?
He was trans metal. He was like one of the biggest figures in the line. I really like Rampage. I'm just not all that into these very stylized figures.
Yeah, well, I suppose that might be the thing that might put some people off. But I
probably would have gone for it if it wasn't for the crab penis.
Crab crotch.
Yeah.
Imagine that for a crotch thrust. Dangerous. Yeah, many arms. But he has a lot of fun. Or she. Is it he or she?
He.
There you go.
He's immortal.
Of course he is. Look at how
he's got Starscream Spark.
Has he?
No, he was an experiment to try and replicate Starscream's immortality.
Pete's loving every moment of this Beast Wars history. This is really what he wants and needs. Isn't that right, Pete?
I'm fixated by the angry face on the crotch.
Are you still talking about Rampage?
Yes.
If your head was down in your crotch, you'd be a bit annoyed as well.
Now, this is Cang Culture's YC002 Base Fortress Heidelberg, which is a legend scale Scorponok. Loads of people asking questions about the height of this, which I believe is being. People are talking about it like it's going to be the same height as the Metroplex that they also released. I'm not sure whether that makes it chug scale, but
what we really do want a chug scaled Marvel Scorponok.
We do
be like leader of our headmasters.
Yes.
If that's the right size, I would definitely go for that.
No,
wasn't that Metroplex about 32 centimeters?
That'd be
I can't remember. And I've seen it up close, and I still can't remember like exactly how tall it was. I was trying to think. Have you got it there? Oh, there you go.
That's not 32.
Can I borrow your tape measure, Pete?
Have you got a boy the cast figure there, Bisto? Could you hold one up next to it?
I've got a deluxe with high heels. He's got high heels. He's got high heels on.
Yeah, that's maybe too. That's maybe a bit too big.
Yeah, that's pretty big. I mean, he was quite big in the comic book, but I don't know if he was that big.
No. I mean, that's with spaghetti bludgeons on here.
Yeah,
I do
it's
like
still
the
a bit
head.
too big, I reckon. That's a shame.
Yeah.
Our hunt continues.
I'm disappointed. It's not what I wanted.
Disappointed during third-party news? That's not like you, Jamie. Oh, positivity. That's what we like to see. Anyway, there you go. It's going to be coming along at some point. I'm sure it will be stocked by some of the independents over here. And I would think our friends at Primetime Toys will also get some of these in.
I might have a go.
Should it become available? I want to see it next to some like more chug scale figures, just see exactly how tall this thing is, because I don't think we've had confirmation on it yet. But
I mean, I've got the Titan class one, and it doesn't seem to have the same level of lights and stuff that the Metroplex had. So maybe it is a smaller figure. I don't know. But
I wonder whether it's still an early version rather than the final production one. But
And weren't the lights a bit dodgy in the Metroplex? So I wonder, like, they just would stop working, or there was no guarantee.
You had to install them yourselves. So if you did a bad job, they stopped working. Yeah.
Well, that bodes well. Right, Fans Hobby with their Master Force Metal Hawk prototype MB32. We've had some more photos of the vehicle mode this time, or the alt mode, I should say, with comparison shots with some of the Fans Hobby's other Master Force figures in their alt modes. There you go for comparison.
They look quite cool.
Yeah, I quite like that. I'm probably going to pick that up myself.
I think there was quite a few people who seem to react positively to this. I suppose how many times are we going to get a Metal Hawk? I still like the Hasbro one, but you know, for those who are more,
I like the first Hasbro one, not the repaint Hasbro one.
No, I've not bothered with that.
I like that you can dress him up. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, he comes with
the
a little.
Next best thing
kit,
to
doesn't he?
alternate faces is alternate outfits. Barbie.
Accessorize. That's what we want to do. Anyway, so there you go. Obviously, we haven't had the painted prototypes yet, but I'm sure they'll be along very, very soon.
Gav really loves Fans Hobby, doesn't he?
He does. Big Gav B loves Fans Hobby, and he's also a very good source for me of finding these photos because he shares them often before I've even seen them, which is fantastic. Thank you, Gav, wherever you are.
It's his birthday today, isn't it?
Oh, that's
Happy birthday,
Gav
Gav.
Morton. Yeah.
Is it?
Yes, Gav Morton. So happy
think-
I
birthday,
mean, they're quite
Gav.
different. One's Geordie, the other one's down south, so they've got very drastic accents.
Is it not Gav's birthday today?
Anyway, it might be Gav B's birthday. It hasn't come up on my Facebook.
It's definitely not Gav's B.
Oh, thank God.
Because his
I was going to say, I thought I'd missed it.
May or July or something.
You might chuck me out.
Where's
Anyway,
Gav
this is Magic
I'm getting
Square
the wrong
Toys MSO for munition. We'll let you off. It's fine. Masterpiece scale swindle. So we
feeling
saw
on you,
some
Pistol.
photos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well
He's
excited.
really in a bad mood tonight. Here you go. So who's after this?
Yes,
Me.
definitely.
I love how the wheels are all fake.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
It's so clean.
They're like they're
Oh.
drawn on.
Yeah.
It does a bit, yeah. I mean, it's a very good version that's accurate to the cartoon. I love the
And
smirky
this is
face
where-
as well.
And this is where Magic Square can set themselves apart, is by turning them out a little bit quicker. You know, start to release the combiner when they've already got 3 or 4 bots in, you know, in the chamber almost. Because I don't think people want to spend 5 years collecting, you know, a special team.
Not at your age, no.
No, well,
Yeah.
you see, the thing is, these figures are so good on their own. They've got great alt molds, they've got great robot molds with lots of posability, great sculpts and stuff like that. So you want to spend as long as possible with them, just in their own little robots as their own little characters, before you inevitably combine them and never touch them again.
That's probably a very good point, Bisto, to be fair. But yeah, I mean, there he is, Swindle. I think it's a really good figure.
I love how the argument for them spending 18 months between characters is we're doing it for your benefit.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah,
you can spend
truly enjoy the
quality
character.
time. Yeah, really get to know.
Maybe
it
that's
as a
why
box.
I could understand Bristol's point of view.
We have an emotional responsibility.
Yeah.
We'll move on to this TFcon. This is going to be an exclusive from Chosen Prime, Fans Hobby at TFcon Baltimore, the 2024 exclusive of MB18A Obsidian Commander. So this is their Energon Optimus Prime repainted as well, whatever Obsidian is. Is that like the Nemesis version?
Grand
That kind of thing?
Scourge.
Ah, there you go. Thank you. Grand
It was
Scourge.
originally released as a little model kit because I've got that, which you put together, and it transforms. It's like a Cabaya thing, but a little bit bigger. But it never got released as a proper figure. So I was interested until I found out that it was limited and super expensive.
Yes, it's $270 available from the Chosen Prime's booth, but I bet there's some of them will turn up online as well, and limited to 600 pieces worldwide, apparently.
$270, is that US dollars or?
Yes. Well, it will be because it's TFcon Baltimore, so yeah.
Yeah, not going.
Mucho Lira.
It's very
I'm
nice,
sure it's very
though.
good. Yeah, it looks good, doesn't it?
And that's
Yeah, I really like the colours.
$270.
Let's be
Exactly.
honest,
Lovely
these things have been sold
colours.
that have cost more than that and been utter shite. So, you know,
I've
not
not
a
been
given.
I've not been to America conventions, but do their prices include the tax, or is it like when you go into the fucking shops and you're buying something and then
I
they
think
go,
they have
now
to
add the
apply.
tax?
I think they have to apply local state taxes, so that may
Ah.
have
Mm.
that may have a affect the decision of where the show's going to be.
Ah.
It's going to affect the decision as to whether we buy anything.
I mean,
'cause
me
that's
Lynn's
too
going to Chicago, I think next week. So if anyone's got any good Transformer shops in Wendy's,
much. Drop Jamie a line.
yes, and I'll make sure
Right.
she goes there.
Poor Maitland trailing around all these shops. Right, let's move on. Doctor Wu. This is Extreme Warfare, DWE 36, Menace King. Is this new or is this like
Yep.
something we've seen before?
It came out. I got mine this week, and I've got some pictures
There
to
you
share
go.
later. It's really good.
Oh, I like the
Oh, well,
battery mode.
I'll skip through. Yeah, I was just going to say, damn you got there first, Bisto. That's fantastic battery mode. You really couldn't tell it would transform into that. But
Although my one's got red legs, not black legs.
Ooh, variants.
So that's strange.
It's got a strange face as well.
Only $230.
Should we ask how much it was? Are we
Like
allowed to?
20 quid. They've Dr. Wu's really reasonable.
So tiny though.
Yeah. The reasonable price and the scale probably go hand in hand, don't they?
Reasonable price.
Isn't it smaller than a Micromaster? Is that right? Or about
I've got a
Micromaster
picture
size?
to show you. That
Right. No spoilers then. No spoilers. Yeah. I mean, it's very
Does
good
its
for the
hands
size of it.
open and close?
Hasbro! What a burn. Anyway, a new company apparently called Defense are doing a Fall of Cybertron Grimlock, 14 centimeters tall. Get the tape measure out, Pete. And these are the first photos that we have seen of the prototype. So there it is, Fall of Cybertron style Grimlock.
That's quite
That's
small.
back,
Good.
like 14 centimeters. Yeah, it's got to be legend scale.
That's
isn't it?
legend scale, yeah.
Oh,
And then there is the Dino mode as it stands. Not a lot
He
known
looks
about
quite
this.
cool. Yeah, he looks quite cool.
It's really sad, but in my role, I actually tried to do a bit of research to find out some more about this because I thought there might be one or two people interested. I couldn't find anybody who seemed to know anything more about it other than new company. So there you go.
I mean,
I'm sure there
I'm
were
expecting Hasbro to do Gamers Edition Dinobots at some point because I was
Yeah.
going to start picking up Planet X stuff because I've got the Perceptor and the Triptychon. They're really good. But if Hasbro's going to do versions, I'll just get them.
Well, you should definitely maybe try and pick up the Planet X Dinobots, and maybe beforehand you could watch a review of their version of Slag.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there might be one on this channel by our very own Pete Orr, who who goes through it in great detail.
Exceptional. It's an exceptional toy.
I mean, I do like Peter's reviews, so I think it's well worth to look for because there's a man who reviews his toys who hasn't got long left in this planet,
It's
and so you can take it for real, but it's coming from the heart.
Anyway, and this is apparently the box art for X Transbots MX41 Ground Bite, which is their version of Scrapper, which is not, I'm assuming, not out yet if they've only just revealed the box art for it. But there you go. I am a Scrapper fan, so I do appreciate the box art, although I'm not overexcited about it. But there you go. Anybody collecting these versions of the Constructicons? Because there's like 2,000 versions to collect. So is anybody getting these?
I'll be dead in the cold, cold earth before I buy another X Transbots figure.
Anyway, shout out to X Transbots.
I've got my Troy World Debbie.
The show.
And
don't
that
really.
is all of the news that was worth newsing about in the world at the moment. So, shall we go on to our pickups for this week, gentlemen? And let's get into that.
We now return to the Transformers.
So, tonight, shall we have our guests start first, maybe? Bisto, have you picked anything up this week or even previous week? We wouldn't know anyway.
yeah. I mean, I've gone previous weeks I could bring down, and I've probably brought far too much stuff here, so I'm gonna
That's
self
like to
edit.
see it.
I'm gonna self edit, right? Because sometimes you don't get to show off your Transformers to people, do you? And it's nice to have a go. So I ended up getting Fans Hobby Quietus. Is it that his name?
Nice.
It's Cyclonus. He's got opening hands. He's got movable fingers. I have transformed him.
Or Skywarp, as he's better
Yeah.
known as.
Skywalk, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Everybody I know who's got that figure loves it. I don't think I've ever met anybody who
Just
said a bad
feels
word
so
about
good in hand. He's such a great guy. At the same time, I got from Robot Paradise, who are totally not Fans Hobby. I bought a set of tapes that these two were in, Overkill and Slugfest. So I think these two are just that very kind of like blink and miss it in the cartoon. Never really in the G1 comic, but they're
very good.
cool. The dinosaur cassettes. I mean, that's
Do they
what
fit
do
in
you
your
like
mind?
about them?
I mean,
Asking for
Hasbro
a
always
friend.
skips over them characters when they come to do
Yeah.
cassettes, so you got to get them somewhere.
So I was hoping that MMC would one day do like the bigger size ones that they do, but I don't think they'll ever get to them. So that. In-Demand Toys had Beast Wars Tigerhawk for something crazy like 20 quid. So I couldn't resist that. So
I've got him. And I like and I'm quite cool about how the mold's split in half. You know, it's like a mirror image each side, and they've got different decals and different detail and topography. It's just something about the figure I just don't like.
Well, I'm thinking because I was holding back on him because I thought they'd eventually do the universe repaint as Razor Claw.
Oh yeah.
So as soon as now I've bought this, it's set to be released, to be announced anytime soon. Let's go with him. I bought another animal bird hybrid, which is Silverbolt, because obviously,
that's
same.
Awesome. That toy.
Bird dog.
Great figure, bird dog. Yeah. I was like holding out to do it for the Transart version, but
why?
When you like showed off the power
here.
Let the man talk.
They showed off. I remember someone telling people off for talking over people.
Yeah. Filling the gap.
Yeah. So, I saw the Transart version that they'd done a prototype or whatever, and it was just ironically too silver for my liking. So I thought, no, I'll get the Universe one while I still can. Like everyone else, got me a Ruckus with his good old big old platform shoes on. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It was one of my last G1 Transformers, so to get him here now is pretty cool.
You did a review of that as well, didn't you, Bister?
I've got a video. I say it's a video about Ruckus. It's not particularly a review, but
it's good. It's good. It's entertaining. I enjoyed it anyway.
And then I bought this Rock guy because I really, when they announced him, I kind of fell in love with this like really goblin-y face sculpt that he's got. And so he just looks like a shitbag. So I had to get him.
With the Halloween aesthetic.
Yeah. And I got from the TFUK guide as a member of the Patreon. I got a print by Ed Pirrie. So I've got Megatron standing over Scourge.
Target 2006.
Target 2006. And a profile card of Decepticon Earthquake, who was in The Enemy Within. So that's pretty cool. And we got the this Cobra guy from G.I. Joe. Do you know what his profession is?
Is he an accountant?
Yeah, he's the Cobra's accountant. He's Raptor, and his bird companion. His bird companion is called General Ledger. I think that's just amazingly kooky.
That's fantastic. I love that idea.
We also got Quarrel. She doesn't come with a bike, but I gave her the bike because that's what the old Z-Force figure came with. So that's another kind of like retro blast from my childhood, kind of complete. And they even put like the Z-Force logos on a shoulder. She has some armored shoulder pads, and if you remove them, there's a Z-Force logo and a Great British flag. Z-Force was one of the factions of Action Force. Yeah. So they had Z-Force, Aqua Force. They had the Night Force SAS guys, and the Space Force that Donald Trump stole. And yeah, so they had the various things of that. So the Z-Force were the standard kind of military green guys. But yeah,
did you like Lieutenant Falcon's improved head sculpt?
He's still in the box, to be honest with you. I don't give a shit.
And that was Bisto's review.
I was just after Quarrel because he was one of the figures I had as a kid.
Lieutenant Falcon, a lot of people have been using Grunt's head,
right,
and swapped it.
Well,
so
I'll probably slap him on eBay.
Fair enough. Right, Lee. Have you
Okay.
picked up anything? Have you got anything you'd like to share with the group?
Bear me a second. My computer. And I can't get this to work now. Ah, share screen. Right, here we go. Here we go. Right, can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Awesome.
Now,
Right,
so can the world.
I got the so I've fallen down the Doctor Who rabbit hole, and today or this week I got Megatron, and he's really nice. I've had quite a few third-party Megatrons, and this one is pretty intricate for the size, which is teeny tiny. You can see there. Look, my one's got red legs, and the other guys have black. I don't know if he'd painted his because he wanted it to look a certain way, maybe. There he is standing next to a knockoff Micromaster, so that you can see exactly how big he is compared to the old G1 Micromasters. Here he is next to a core figure.
Oh, that's a great core figure as well.
It's like a scene
Probably
from
the best
300,
one.
isn't
The crossover we're still waiting for. That's a standard sized New Age figure, so half the size. But I've been getting these because I want them to populate my Micromaster cities when I actually get them all out and display them all connected with their little ramps and everything. There you can see the engineering. It's quite an original way they've gone about it, but it's really simple. Once you've done it once, you've pretty much got it down. So I do recommend them. They're quite reasonably priced. They're a lot of fun.
How much is reasonably priced?
20 quid, 25 quid. But for the regular ones, you get like 2 in a box instead of just like one figure. That was unusual in that it was one figure, but then it's a bit more intricate, a bit larger. Then I got the G2 version of Gorgo or Slag, which I absolutely love. New Age. I pretty much buy everything they do. Pete, you've got which one have you got?
The comic colors. So the comic colors they've shipped, but I haven't got it yet. But I've got the comic colors of the rest. Exceptional figures.
I mean, for all of the Dinobots, I've been buying the anime colors, the comic colors, the G2 colors, and the Shattered Glass colors. I've got a lot of these bloody things, but they are so good. They are like proper masterpieces, and they're exactly the same size as the original G1 Dinobots as well, which blew my mind a little bit. But yeah, I think these are absolutely fantastic. Highly recommended. But again, they are quite pricey. Now, this is something I got a little while ago, but I only got around to opening yesterday, which is one of the 1985 South American jump starters with the funny names. I don't know what that means in whatever country it was released in. But as you can see, they were quite cheap, so the quality is not as good as an actual official G1 jump starter. The box is quite thin. You can see there's no plastic window. They did lots of different variants. Some are rarer than others. It didn't come in a bubble. A lot of G1 stuff came in a bubble, but these are just like tapped onto a bit of card. And I don't know if anyone remembers these paper fasteners. It was actually connected to the tray with a paper fastener, which I've not seen since I was a kid. It's just slotted through the hole where the clip goes to keep it in tank mode.
That's very cool.
Wow.
Colours are lovely.
Ingenious.
Do the drill bits though? They look like coming from South America. You don't want to lick them because
I
get lead poisoning.
I had a Mexican Devastator as a kid, and it didn't do me any harm.
Did you lick it a lot?
No, but I got Skywarp from a local market, and it wasn't till I'm an adult collector and it's long gone that I discovered that because it had a purple nose cone, it's actually one of the rarest G1 Skywarps there is. And I chewed that thing. That rubbery nose cone was all chewed up and horrible, like a dog had got into it. There's the robot nose.
I've never understood why people choose
It was really
them.
satisfying. It was just, you had to be there.
What age were you? I need to know this.
Get yourself an original G1 with a soft rubbery nose cone and give yourself a good time. These stickers
don't do drugs, kids.
These stickers have pretty much all fallen off, but they're exactly the same as the regular jumpstart stickers. So I'm just gonna get those and replace them. And those were my pickups. Am I back in the screen now?
You are back
Yes.
with us.
There's one last thing that I've got, which was a grail of mine, which is the Ultimate pop-up book.
Ooh.
Which is really hard to find. Does anyone remember the G1 pop-up book, which was Ultra Magnus versus Starscream?
I've seen it. I never saw it in person, though. I've only seen it online.
This very much reminds me of that sort of thing. So you've got... Ooh, it's very difficult to do this when it's right. So...
Is it a mixture then of the G1 and the Transformers Prime kind of style?
Yeah, kind of. It's the Evergreen.
Right.
I'll try and do Bumblebee. Where we are.
Wow, that's clever.
So that is something I've been after for absolutely ages, but they came and went, and getting hold of them now is near impossible. But that is my selection of the best things that I got this week.
Fantastico. Awesome. Pete, what have you got this week? Transformers or otherwise?
I got two things this week. One was Legacy Motormaster, who is based on the same mold as Legacy Animated Prime, just a different head. And the head is excellent. A proper Dick Dastardly vibe. I'd forgotten, though, how shit his feet are. Like, there's no ankle tilt. You know, we're banging on about opening hands. Ankle tilts are the bare minimum these days. And these just extend. It's... I don't mess with my Animated Prime too much, but I'd forgotten about the ankles. And I shed a little tear because they are appalling, but he's quite a good, lovable character. And one more thing, I picked up, literally delivered this evening, Willa from Thundercats. So
With a weird wobbly voice.
Yeah.
Lionel.
The same female actress that did all of the female voices. And that was it this week.
That's still a pretty good haul. Not too bad at all. Jamie, do you want to go last? Do you want me to go first? Or how do you want to play it?
I can go. I don't mind. You want to go first, you go. I don't mind.
Well, I'll get mine out of the way, and then we'll have a look at what you've been doing this week. My only real pickup this week has been I picked up a cheap G1 Thunderclash from the wonder that is Vinted. Took a bit of a gamble on it, but it was cheap. And it's unbroken. It's incomplete, but it's unbroken. It's definitely not been stored well in the years between being played with originally and coming out again. But the thing is, I always wanted a Thunderclash, but the prices of like a really good condition one that's not broken and has all the bits are high. You know, the ones I've generally seen have gone for between £100, but then it turned out that one was actually broken. So that's why it was £100. And then up to £200. And I've seen some go for over £200. So I just kind of wanted one just to experience it. Pardon?
Does it suffer from gold plastic syndrome?
Yeah, it's from that era of the Predators, and obviously this is one of the chief suspects for gold plastic syndrome.
It's the feet.
Yeah, the feet down there, the ankles, and also up here. Well, I should point out, as I did when I posted some photos of this, whoever bought this originally put the damn Autobot sticker on his chest on upside down, which is just... it makes it a one of a kind, upside down to two. Or shattered glass. Somebody pointed out shattered glass Thunderclash. The chest that you see there is the hood or the roof rather of the truck, and there's a gold plastic hinge that holds it in place. And on the £100 one I saw on eBay, that's what had snapped. And the guy had snapped it. The poor guy on eBay had snapped it, transforming it for photos, and it had just come off.
No.
This is the thing. If you ever have these toys, unfortunately, it's always going to be a bit of a kind of, enjoy them while they last type of thing, because they are inevitably going to fall apart. There's the doggy dick blaster there on the base.
Is that going to snap over misuse?
Not because of me. It's very clean, actually. I'll have you know. But yeah, it's just really nice to have it and to be able to transform it. And like I've transformed it a few times now, and so far, no breakages. If it does break, I will be a bit gutted, but I'll also know I didn't spend hundreds of pounds on it, so I'll be all right with it. But yeah, I was really chuffed to pick that up. Took a bit of a gamble, like I said, on vintage.
Why are you still transforming it?
Because I'm not really at the moment. At the moment, it's downstairs in truck mode. It's living on the dining room table, which Claire's overjoyed about.
Have you never actually experienced this mold?
No, and I know there's the Machine Wars version that people
Optimus
have said,
Prime.
"Oh, get that one." But the only thing is, the Machine Wars version is I don't want to say duller because that's a bit unfair, but it's like the colors. It doesn't have those G1.5 or late G1 colors that everybody loved so much. Anyway, we shall move on.
Mine's lasted since I bought it on release, and I transform it a lot. So I think you're going to be okay. Just be careful.
I've got the guarantee now from Spider Father, so that's good news.
He buys it.
Something happens. I'm sure he'll replace it.
Well, I have got like 4 spare Skyhammer out shells because that thing's made of gold, and I know they're going to break at some point. I
bought one of those and it's broken on the way. Wait, as it was supposed to be.
Then
never take it off the card.
That's my
I've got
backup.
Skyhammer complete now, and I got it at TF Nation, from that good stall, which some of the other people who had stalls there were using to flip items, which was bad people, bad baddies. But I got the Skyhammer there, and that had a gold syndrome, and I transformed it in the hotel room. I remember, and I just went, "Fuck it, I need to transform this." And I felt like Indiana Jones when he was swiping the skull off the sort of like the booby trap, not a booby, but a booby trap, and it was such an awesome feeling when I managed to transform. I'm never fucking transforming it again.
Yeah, agreed.
That was such a great feeling, It was like yes.
Yeah, well, I get that totally. I have transformed it a few times, and I probably will continue to, because why the hell not? You've got to enjoy it while they last.
Floated down to the bar after that. I was like,
Jamie, it's you and your pickups. What have you got?
Yeah, well, just share this picture. Oh, do you want me to do it? I'll do it.
Oh no, I'll do it. Oh, sorry. I thought you were doing it yourself. That's all.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sometimes I do it. Sometimes I think Paul gets annoyed. Yeah, so I just wanted to say thing. There's MCM London is happening this weekend. I'm probably not going to get to go, but I might actually make it for the Sunday. And the reason I'm saying, because obviously there's going to be some stuff there at the stalls, and there's going to be maybe even some blocky stuff. But just wanted to say that I've actually had a really tough time of it this last month and a bit. My partner's, my father-in-law basically he passed away, and he'd been basically passing away for almost 2 years now, and he had dementia, so it was always quite hard caring for him, and it was busy the weekends, and it took up so much time. And so anyone who's in our age who's dealing with that, I could really appreciate how much of a hard time you're going to go through or are going through. And he did pass away. And to be honest, it was quite an awful thing, because I've obviously lost my 2 parents as well. But I think the most gutting was still, losing my father-in-law, just because of the way it happened. And obviously we had a funeral, which was quite fast, within a week later. And so a lot of my time's been taken up dealing with that, and obviously trying to help Maylin's mum, who's now by herself. But after the funeral, her house was broken into, raided while she was indoors. So they just pushed aside and just, gutted the place, which is, I'm from a Glasgow housing estate, so I've been in an experience when your house has been raided by people breaking in, so I've experienced it. And I know how awful it is. And so for me, it brought back a lot of emotional feelings, and it's one of the most awful things I've experienced, and again experienced it again from there. So that's why I'm not going to MCM, and I might not get to go to TF Nation Reading. you know, because we're going to be sorting out stuff like security cameras, getting electricians round. We've got a new patio door in. We're sorting stuff there. And I've got to say, you know, even did a Blockies built one over at her place, and it was just you know, something that's good to distract you. And that's the thing about Transformers, you know, it distracts you from real life at times, and it's a good escapism. And I think I appreciate that more. And I look at Transformers 1, which has now got digital releases. I would endeavour anyone who's not seen it yet, even if you're not seeing it in the cinema, see the digital release, really enjoy this film, because it's a lot better, especially the second time you see it as well, and you'll like it. And this is a sort of photo which I just did of Transformers 1, and I just wanted to have fun, you know, try to make it the aesthetic of the sort of cartoon. And obviously, Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime, which we've already sort of kind of seen. But yes, 2 fun toys. And I think sometimes we don't get a chance to, it's like Bristol was saying, maybe you don't want to be third party and wait 3 years until the damn combiner comes out, or 5 years, but you do like to get to appreciate your toys. And sometimes they just come in so fast and quick. But I found it really difficult to enjoy what I was getting. And I don't know if sometimes some other people were experiencing that. It just felt like there's so much coming. I hadn't really got to enjoy the stuff that first arrived. But I've got this little dude, Cobra Commander vintage. And that's got me excited. I just look at this sort of faceplate and the shine from that helmet, you know. It's just, you know, I want a faceplate like that. I think I'd be a good Cobra Commander. I've got the evil part sorted. I already know what I would do if I was evil. I thought about it, you know. All you guys would be okay. I'll ask Pete, but you know, we always lose someone. But yes, Cobra Commander, the hero we all deserve. And I've also got the cool Snake version, which is the best box hologram I've ever seen in the cover for a long time. But yes. So that has generally been my pickup basically this week. And I like that. Just the fact you're getting one thing, and I've not even opened it, and it's just been and that's been good.
Well, it's a good pickup. And much love to the family and everything, Jamie, from everybody. I know there's some love coming through from the chat as well if you want to have take a look. Right, so we've done our pickups. So
we're playing a bit Galvatron. That's what the love will show.
Just get back to that. Let's do a little bit of foreplay, I think, if everybody's ready. Oh, yeah, no, we will do foreplay. We'll do the socials afterwards.
Lynn, these are sex people.
What do you mean?
They're sex swappers. Lynn, this is TFcon 1. Look. Look. Don't make the same noise as them. Don't think you want to join in.
Right, so who would like to go first for foreplay, which is our top 5 Optimus Prime characters and toys. Don't have to be the same thing, so we might have 2 different primes that somebody likes.
So tough, that.
I know, there's so many to choose from, there really is. So anybody rushing to come to the forefront and tell us
I can go.
Go on then, Jamie.
Yeah, because I'll just show the pictures again.
Nice and easy. I like it.
Yes. Basically, I actually put this on the internet to see if there was any ideas, and I said that, you know, I was thinking about what is our best favorite Optimus Prime toy and then character. And obviously toys, I'm quite a select, extinguished collector. You know, I'm like past masterpiece, Robeson collector style. So I'm a higher level, but I found this a bit taxing, because to be quite honest, this is a multiple of molds out there. Look, there's the FIs, and you've got your Netflix, and I just have no clue really. And you know what they basically are, but I mean, it's just fun figures. And G2 Laser Prime, which to me was just ridiculous shoulder pads, but I loved it, and I think it was almost reminds me of the original G1 toys where he's blocky, and I like that blocky aesthetic because it comes alive in the photo, and it makes it exciting. And then you've got your Rise of the Beasts, which, you know, I do think it was a sin that you got some of the accessories from the later figures, which at least it should have came with the original toy. And then I've obviously got blockies, which Andy and Pete and Paul are massive fans of. I haven't seen many blocky pictures from Lee in Bristol, so I'm not sure.
I've only got one blockies, and someone gifted me that.
Well, I put mine up like a month before everyone got into them.
I was there before they were cool. Says
I was there
I like Lee's honesty. Somebody gave me one. That's it, basically. That'll do.
And then we got Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime, and then we've got the Yolo Park, which is non-transforming again. But you know, the non-transforming Transformers have started to make a dent, and it's really kind of hard. And I did something which is very rare. I transformed. So I spent yesterday transforming, and some of today.
You were transformed. That's incredible.
Well, see these hands? These hands are fucking delicately.
Oh, you meant the toys, right?
Yeah. These are artist hands, you know. So I have to be very careful. And I heard a lot of negative. I heard a lot of negative comments about people transforming. You know, Studio Series 86 Optimus Prime, and I thought, me, you know, maybe not the best Transformer world. I'm going to tackle this and see the comments they talked about, especially when they talked about putting sort of like that down those sort of flaps which fell off from the legs. And actually, I find nothing wrong. It was a bliss. Transforming the head, Bliss just turned around, everything was fine. And granted, I did go to the heater a bit and just softened it prior to beginning, just in case. But yeah, it was absolutely nothing to worry about. A hint for some people: don't file down tabs straight away. Don't listen to other people. Don't do was it Sky? What was his name again? Sky. Sky. Is it Sky Hammett? Not Sky Hammett. You know, the green plane, Andy.
Skyquake.
Yeah.
Skyquake,
Don't start filing down stuff and clip it. Sometimes look at the instructions and see how the engineer might have done something. And the thing I find with all these tabs is I always test the tab first to see if the things can fit before they're meant to be put in the configuration. So that way I know they can fit. And then you do that a couple of times and sort of warm up and get it used to it. So when they came to actually transforming it, all the tabs came in perfectly fine, and it was a majestic piece to transform. And for me, I found it easier to transform than air fries, and I find it less. I tell a lie. Obviously, the middle bit of the waist turning around is a little bit more complicated, but it's kind of like Jazz, but Jazz had 3 bits which seemed to turn around, so I was kind of used to that. But apart from that, I found it easier to transform in air fries. Also, the other thing is, people were talking about the pipes. I don't know if that's the correct term because I don't drive a vehicle. I'm useless. You know, remember with these things, they tab in. You know,
they do, Jamie, but they're not on every version. They're not very tight. Mine's quite loose, and they don't flop around on their own. But
maybe it's because I've got delicate fucking hands, Lee, and my hands are magic. So when I pushed it,
all right, stop working. Magic hands, Jamie. Jamie, we do have a question from Ed, and I was wondering this myself. How is the head on it? Because I've seen a lot of people saying that getting the head in and out for transformation can be quite difficult.
I had the benefit of looking at reviews and other people talking about it before I got mine, because America had it for like a month, and everyone was always talking about when it came to his antennae thing, they can just turn around. So I presume people were having trouble with that. So I obviously moved the antennae around it, you know, prior. And as I said before, I used a heater. And I just heated the plastic area just to soften it, because that tends to be the problem, is that the plastic can be quite rigid and cold. Just to do it. And I used my 2 fingers, because what I didn't want to do was break anything. So I didn't want to push it against something which, you know, might snap or break. So I was a bit worried about that. But I just took the time and it just seemed to snap it. It does snap into place. You do need to put a little bit of pressure, you know. And I know I've got exceptionally big arm muscles, but I did find it quite easy, you know.
There's an alternative head, isn't there? There's a third-party company doing an alternative head for this because I've seen quite a bit of interest in that. Would that make any difference to the transformation at all, or is it just to have a different?
The head isn't the issue. It's that what the head is on is the panel.
Right.
You know, it's like panel flips over, and that is, and I think in a lot of people's versions, it's kind of like really stiff. You know, so I could see like potential.
It's on mine. It's very stiff. The problem is, it's not easy to get leverage on the part to apply the force correctly to get it going around. So Jamie, you've probably done the right thing, heating it up a little bit first. But a lot of people just haven't been able to do it completely. So it's always an angle on their version, which means they can't then tab the shoulders into the flap that's attached to the back of that part.
When you're pushing down in sort of plastic or any kind of lever, make sure you're the lower part so you can control the pressure. If you go to the higher part, you're going to be putting far more strength into that. That's when you might make something stretch or big, and you can just gradually push on it, and it will just gradually snap into place. Just take it nice and easy. It's like putting furniture together and stuff like that. You know, you just go upwards rather than start from upwards on the pinnacle of the lever. You know, start from the bottom.
Is that your toy choice then, Jamie?
That is definitely my toy choice, and it is. We have got so lucky with the Optimus Primes out there, and I wanted to transform it, so I wasn't speaking bullshit and living off of someone else's experiences when I was talking about it. And I'm glad I did, because it did convince me that is definitely the toy of the year. You know, because if I hadn't transformed it, I might have lied. You know, and then I wouldn't have came up an honest. I know. Sometimes I might tell the odd way. You know,
that's
like for example, Scotland's good at football. God, you know, but
let's at least make them believable.
The character, my favorite character, now this was a tough one because the trouble with G1 Optimus Prime, which you can almost pick as your favorite character from the movie. If it was just a standalone Transformers in 1986 movie, I could easily pick G1 Optimus Prime as a character, and I think most people would agree. However, if you watch the actual episodes, he's a bit of a cunt at times. He really is not. When Cybertron's coming to freaking Earth and he's going, and it's going to kill Earth, he's going, oh well, how will we save Cybertron? And he's like thinking about it. He's putting Cybertron first, and you're thinking, what the hell, Optimus? But you're meant to be the hero, So in the G1 cartoon, he didn't really always make the most noble of decisions, or that sort of moniker which we imagine him to be, as he is portrayed in the film. Because in the series, he really wasn't, and in the comic, he was freaking hot and cold because it depended obviously on the writer. And when he came back as a Power Master, he was a bit of a wishy-washy at times, to be honest, and made some really pretty bad, awful decisions. And Grimlock needed that to pulverize them into common sense again.
Who are you picking?
Because that is why, controversially, I'm going to be picking Transport. Well, you've got to discuss why the other ones are not going there. You just can't go
all right.
The character I'm going to pick is Transformers 1 Optimus Prime, the young, noble upstart who basically brought change, not because he wanted to fight oppression in the class system. He brought change because of education. He learned, he got educated. And it was through education that he brought freedom and brought the freedom to his Autobots. And it's through education that he sent him on his quest. His need to learn is what drove him. And he's my Optimus Prime because he's worried, he's caring, he's got empathy, he's trying to do the right thing. He believes in people even to the point that they've turned. And it's not because he's gullible and naive, he just has the utter belief in people. And that's the type of Optimus Prime, I like. So it's Transformers 1, Optimus Prime, Orion Pax, who became Optimus Prime.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jamie. Right, who would like to go next? Any volunteers?
I don't know if there's any
Lee, go on then.
Let me just share my screen.
Share away, my friend.
Right. So in 1996, BotCon had Hasbro there, and they showed off these two concepts for Pretender figures that never actually got made. and they were double Pretenders. So they, you know, at the time the second year of Pretenders came out, the robots inside, like Monstructor, Bludgeon, all those were tiny, really simple. I don't know if they were going to be those figures that went in there, or they were going to be like Micromasters, but Hasbro was planning on putting 2 figures in one shell. Didn't happen. Move forward to about 2016, and BotCon actually made one of the shells. And inside they stuck 2 figures, which was a Scout class, I think it was back then, and a Micromaster. And these 2 were actually a version of G2 Optimus Prime and High Q, which I really like because I think it's just super imaginative use of remold, which was a new head for Optimus, and repaint. Because I know you could look at that and think, oh wait, that's Movie Prime, but it's not, because it's black.
It's the Gears mold, isn't it? That they
It
released
is.
in Threading 30,
Yeah,
which was a hard mold to pick up.
Yeah,
It's
so it's
beautiful.
It's the Gears mold in the colors of G2 Laser Prime, the original one, which was black with the red flames.
Did they do Oil Master first, or was Optimus Prime first?
I think Oil Master was part of the BotCon box set, and this was
Right.
released timeline. So Oil Master probably did come first. And that's a gorgeous figure, lovely
Yeah.
colors. But this one, they actually used their remold budget.
Mm.
So I like it. It's a little bit obscure, and I think it's a really cool idea, and it's a really well executed figure.
It's awesome.
It's not my favorite overall, because I've got like 180 Optimus Prime toys. You can't ask me to pick a favorite out of all of those figures. But this is one of the ones. That
Yes, we can, Lee. Yes, we can. You underestimate us.
Lee, just start off now, starting with the first one.
Let's do what Jamie did. Go through all of them. We'll get
Yeah.
to
Character-wise,
what are you going for?
character-wise, I'm
Yes.
gonna, Jamie, I'm going to be very specific with the G1 Optimus Prime. I'm going to take the G1 Optimus Prime from his Transformers Universe tech specs, because that little bit of dialogue has stuck with me since I was 5-6 years old, whenever they released it. Optimus Prime could have been a teacher, a doctor, an architect, or a scientist. But due to the war on Cybertron, he's none of these things. And it was his big regret that he wanted to be a healer, an educator, a builder. But because of necessity, he was a warrior. And that's my favorite kind of Optimus Prime, the wise, reluctant hero.
I'm all over these things as
Very
well.
good.
Ironically.
It's like you're describing Jamie. Right. Bisto, what would your choice or choices be?
Right, what do you want first?
Dealer's choice, Bisto. You tell us what you want to tell us.
We're going to flip the
So
script. We're
basically-
going to go character first.
Yeah.
And for me, and it's a bit of a cheat because Transformers animated Optimus Prime. Transformers animated kind of changed the definition of what a prime is, because in animated, prime is like a captain or a chief. So he was the commander of a ragtag group. There's a lot of DNA from Optimus Primal in animated Optimus Prime. Is the captain of a ragtag group who aren't necessarily heroes to start off with, but by the end, by God, they are. And that is, to me, we show this rise of this guy who it's kind of a story of penance, a story of him of being basically kicked out of Cybertron high society because he's made mistakes. So it's a redemption arc. And he finds himself on Earth with these guys who he doesn't necessarily trust all of them, but by the end, they all get on and they all kind of prove themselves to be Autobot heroes. And I think his leadership and him learning how to be a leader and his very cute relationship with Ratchet is kind of the bread and butter of that series. And it's, I think, what really kind of what an Optimus Prime aspires to be is, he gets there in the end, and he rises everyone up around him.
Fantastic. So that's your favorite like version of the character. What is your favorite toy then?
My favorite toy, completely related, because this is TFC Sergeant Commander.
Yes, of course.
guns, rockets, blow up, pain, camouflage. This is based on Don Figueroa concept art. He's just this absolutely beast of a unit. Got all these. You can pick that up on the mic. Ratchets and everything. He's just die-cast metal. He just looks so intimidating and powerful. And, because I like my G.I. Joe Action Force stuff. I like my Transformers. And this is what the perfect crossover of those properties are, in my mind. He's just iconic. He really is. Just all the little details they've put in there. There's bits of translucent plastic. There's little warning signs and tampographs. And like I say, die-cast guns and bombs and stuff strapped all over him. He's just a weapon of war, which is, quite against what a lot of Optimus Prime stand for. But here he is in the G.I. Joe crossover universe, unofficial third-party line. It's just a shame that, obviously when artists do concept stuff like this and then third-party companies pick them up, they get nothing for it. But on the other hand, when Hasbro do the same, they also get nothing for it. So, it's potatoes.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting choice. Definitely coming out of left field. But I mean, I have heard good things about that figure.
It's one of the best. One of the best.
It's the first. It's the first one I think of when I think of Optimus Prime. Pete, what did you go for?
So for my toy, I picked Earthrise Optimus Prime. I've not been lucky enough to pick up Studio Series 86 Prime yet. Earthrise Prime, I'm not ashamed to admit, is my first Chug Prime. If you ignore the if you ignore the G1 stuff that I've got, but I just think his transformation makes the toy for me. It's so clever, so interesting, and so enjoyable. It did start Chug on that mini masterpiece journey, because I think it started to show us what engineering was possible in a mainline bot. And now I've got 6 trailers. It was the first trailer I've got, and I don't know, just having the full Prime in the trailer, I don't think I'll ever get rid of it. Even when I get Studio Series 86 Prime, I won't get rid of this. I'll find a special shelf for it.
Are you sure, Bo? Because it's kind of like having a sock, which is your favourite, then getting a girlfriend, and then you think,
but you'll never forget the sock.
I was going to say, it's amazing all references, Jamie, go towards that kind of thing.
You'll never move on. So that, for me, that is my favourite Prime toy. I'm sure it will be surpassed by Studio Series 86 Prime when he turns up, because I can't wait to try it, and there's been such wonderful things said about it. For me, I was going to pick animated Optimus as well, but Bisto's done such a good job, I think, in describing it. I think why I like that version of him so much is like Bisto said, he was relegated to looking after a mining team on a moon. He wasn't sent to Earth. They found themselves there on a space bridge, and suddenly he's there as the most senior of the 4 Autobots, not that he was a senior officer. And I think as Bisto said, as he grows and he learns that just because he's the most senior doesn't mean he's always right, and he learns and he adapts and he changes his style. It's quite nice to see him grow as a character. And the rivalry he's obviously got with Sentinel Prime, and how he got kicked out of the Elite Guard, and then him realizing he's got to lead what Autobots are there against Megatron and Decepticons. I just think the whole animated series was so enjoyable, and I think what made it enjoyable was Prime's growth through the series. So I think for me, it would be animated Optimus Prime.
Another vote for animated, very popular, and a very good version of Prime. Does that just leave me? Am I the only one who hasn't gone now?
Yes, sir.
I don't want to jump in before
it's
somebody
the
else. Right.
last.
So, just to annoy Jamie. Right. So, I've gone for Power Master Optimus Prime for my character because that was the Optimus Prime I really grew up with. I collected the Marvel G1 comics, the UK ones, from the first issue. But my memories of those first issues are hazier, but I vividly remember the Power Master Optimus Prime because that was the first toy of Optimus Prime that I was able to pick up. So I missed out on getting the original first G1 Optimus Prime release. It was the Power Master I got. So I've always had a soft spot for him. And I actually quite like the fallibility of the character. He went from being a character that was kind of considered to be almost impossible for him to make a mistake to somebody who was a bit more human in the way that he could make mistakes, and he did doubt himself, especially after he died. I think the death when they killed him off in the comic books and then they brought him back, he came back a different character. He came back as someone who was questioning things because of what had happened to him. But I loved the way he looked. I obviously had the toy, so I loved that. Brick or not, it's still one of the best and most fun G1 toys that you can get. I enjoyed the story. I remember seeing this comic book cover originally and just being like, "What the hell?" and thinking, "Oh, this can't be real." And of course, there's a storyline behind it as we see as we go on through those stories. But yeah, he was just the one. He was just the one I grew up with, and I remember his battles with Megatron, his battles with Galvatron. He was just fantastic. He was around the era of Scorponok as well, and I loved Scorponok. So seeing them together, as he did at times, was brilliant. And this is a bit of I do apologize. I found this fantastic kind of not recreation of the G1 comic art, but an interpretation of it on DeviantArt. So whoever the artist was for this, it's brilliant. Well done to you. But yeah, I loved G1 Power Master Optimus Prime, and I didn't mind that he made mistakes, and he could sometimes not really find it easy to make decisions, because sometimes it's not easy to make decisions, especially when they could get your troops killed. So I found that human side of him quite real. Toy-wise, though, and I've stolen these photos from the lovely Mark Lonus from Hasbro, it has to be the recent release of Armada Optimus Prime, Legacy Armada Optimus Prime. Now, this is probably a bit of a surprising one because I normally go for like a G1 toy or just a version of a G1 toy. But this is such a fantastic version of Optimus Prime and a fantastic toy.
I knew you would have picked this.
Oh, no, I told you yesterday. We literally discussed it.
That explains how I didn't know if it was inspiration. I made a post on Twitter. I had some funny idea now.
We had a chat on the chat so that we weren't all overlapping. But yeah, okay. But well done.
That explains it.
But he's just, I am really surprised because I'll be completely honest. I never really liked the design of the Super Mode Armada Optimus Prime. I kind of felt it, to me, was a bit too, I don't want to say Gundamish, but it just had a look to it that didn't strike me as like the G1 look. And I am a G1 fan originally, so it's kind of what I'm drawn to. But this toy is so good. It's like completely turned me around on that. And I literally, I don't think there's anything negative I can say about this toy. And I will say as well, God love Mark. He's got yellow eyes, but
that's what I mean. They wanted red eyes, didn't they?
But that never bothered. You see, this is the thing. I know some people get hung up on eye color, like Soundwave is a figure where there's always complaints about whichever eye color he gets. It does not bother me that much. And I was just about to point out, Mark has actually slightly mistransformed his knees, just as I did. He's forgotten to put the two blue pieces up when I did my photos previously. But it's a great toy. It's great fun. I was so glad that I got it because I didn't bother the first time it was out. And then by the time I'd kind of seen Jamie's photos and Jamie had talked about it, and I thought, oh, actually, I want to get that. It was bloody sold out everywhere. So I was so glad to get this kind of re-release of it, the reissue. It's well worth picking up if you can get one. I think they're often sold out in almost all the places anyway. But if you can get one, he's definitely worth it. I mean, who wouldn't want to be able to kick Menasor in the face like that? I mean, that's just peak. That's how I pose all my Transformers, clearly. And he just looks great. He looks great with the other Unicron trilogy bots. it's just a really, really good toy. Even like the truck mode, I'm not really bothered about truck modes. They don't particularly excite me, but this one is just mint. Yeah, it's just great. Just absolutely great. And I would highly recommend this. I haven't got the Studio Series 86 Prime yet, and maybe when I get it, it will surpass this. But it will have to go some to surpass this. It really will have to go some to surpass this. So I hope it does, but we shall see. I'm not gonna prejudge anything. I'm not gonna lie about it when I haven't got the toy. That'd be terrible, wouldn't it? That'd be terrible, Jamie. Absolutely. You don't want to do that.
Well, I would never do that.
Exactly. We'd never comment on something we've not enjoyed.
That's why I used those delicate hands to transform this. It was out of love and respect for you guys.
Jamie and his delicate hands. Right. Okay. So I think that's everybody. So we will move on now. And is it time now? We can't do the socials music, can we? Because that gets us copyright striked. And Lee, here's Lee, who's in the chat, has created a couple of possible socials intros for us, which I didn't have time to get and download. So we'll just have to go with. Have you lads seen the thing Lee did? Where he's taken the voices. It's a little video of I can't remember which G1 character it is now. I think it's Cosmos, and he's put me and Jamie kind of really weakly singing socials, and Pete chiming in at the end over the top of it, and I love it. I just thought it really made me laugh and I enjoyed it. But anyway, socials. Social
corner.
Social. That sounds really depressing.
Better than socks.
Social corner.
Better than a crusty sock.
Would somebody like to share the screen? See.
Oh yes, sorry. Yep. No.
No. Share that one. That could be the first one. Just. Good question. This was a really good question from socials, and sometimes we're always showing pictures and stuff like that, and I put it in the wrong fucking. We put socials in. We're quite organized. We put socials in the folder. I was an idiot. Put it in the wrong place. And then I didn't realize until about 2 minutes ago. Random question: have you guys ever covered how the sound effects are used for the cartoon? I know some sound like Star Wars elements, but a cool topic to cover. And I think it was a brilliant idea. And I'm going to respond to say it's fantastic. And I don't have a clue, but I'm going to have to research it because I think we should, because I just think it's cool.
On the
I know, but I couldn't explain it. Like right now, but I have read up on it before. But that might be interesting to share at some point. But Lee, go on. What were you going to say?
Yeah, on the wiki, if you go to the individual entries for the G1 cartoon episodes, they do list a lot of the sound effects and where they originally came from. But sometimes it's hard to find these sound effects because, like Optimus's original blaster sound, Megatron's fusion cannon sound, they don't pop up very much. In fact, the fusion cannon, I think, only ever popped up again in animated in the first episode where Megatron's blasting into the Arc control room. But they put it on loop, so it's playing again and again and again and again. So it's kind of like a different sound effect.
There you go. And knowledge is power, people. Knowledge is power. So yeah, that was an excellent question. So thank you for that. And I'm sure we'll get Jamie on the case, and he can do a full dissertation about how we got those sounds. Go on then, Pete. You're up.
Okie doke. Let's start. So Shadow, who is involved with TFN, does a lot of their animation in terms of the videos where they announce the guests, and certainly the opening ceremony video. Exceptional artist shown here with Sentinel Prime, the false Prime. Spoiler alert. Do we need to warn about spoilers now?
No, we don't.
I think if it's something like really crucial, we should at least say you might want to avert your ears and eyes. But people, come on, you need to go see this film by now.
Yeah,
you've had time.
You've only got yourself to blame. If this spoils it,
we're in chains, people. We've got to break these chains off.
So some just beautiful artwork, and I say it every week, but I really wish I could draw, man. It's like
that's
some
exceptional.
talented people. Yeah,
drawing the color, everything.
Plastic Spark with the probably fair to say the lesser known Insecticons. Ransack, Barrage, and Chop Shop. The understudies, if you will. With the regular boys getting the glory, these guys just working in the shadows. But definitely wouldn't fancy them giving me a
Mayhem
lobotomy.
Attack Squad, whatever.
Because they. Oh yeah, that well-known. They're the well-known members, aren't they?
Oh my god!
Start that shit. Fuck off! Shut up.
As Micromaster Hunters from the Dreamwave era.
Correct.
The deluxe guys, they kind of just hang around at base camp.
Exactly.
drunk.
Exactly.
They're too deluxe to go out fighting.
Smashed on Energon. Winston Chan, he has done some artwork for some Transformer comics over the years, certainly some cover artwork.
He's
Snapdragon.
done a lot of commissions, which he's been showing off on Twitter. And yeah, that was one I commented on previously that I particularly like, which is obviously Snapdragon. Really nice.
The hot one with Halloween coming up as well.
Yeah. How very on topic.
Exceptional. Again, realizing how poor my talent is. Zode. I feel like we feature Zode at 340 every week, but their use of flight stands just blows my freaking mind every week. And this, I mean, I obviously, let's not split hairs. The fact that Orion Pax and Optimus Prime are in the same place at the same time, let's not draw attention to that level of detail. But the way they're all flying in and fighting, again, I need to get some of those flight stands. I get the basic ones, but I think they're too lightweight and too flimsy for me. I need, not for me personally, obviously.
I was going to say, you shouldn't be putting yourself on them.
Don't feel like they're sturdy enough to take a 6'4" man.
God, I hope you're plugging it into your belly button, because otherwise we need to have a serious chat.
You would never guess how many pegs I've broken off.
Hey,
but again, it's exceptional posing, and I think they just show what is possible in terms of the posability with the figures. Friend of the show, Toybox Sobox, he could take a picture of a decaying apple and it'll look good, wouldn't it? But these three bad boys, again, you could argue, the two of the main members of the Mayhem Attack Squad for me.
Well, the new Mayhem Attack Squad, which one is good?
The proper one.
I like the new one as well, Pete.
Yeah, I like the new one as well.
Thanks,
I
mate.
like it when he got slaughtered by Karnovic.
Yes,
exactly. That's why they're good.
Carnivac, please, Hasbro.
Really looking forward to getting Quake. He's going to start shipping soon, and the fact they're going to re-release Spinister. The colours really pop, and Liam does a fantastic job as
It's
like
the
he does with
setting
all
in the
his
shadows
pictures.
I love. He does. It's the depth he creates in his photos. It's something that I try to mimic without. I mean, I don't have any of his skill sets, but I just think he's amazing. And for me, because obviously I'm a chug collector, and that's my main thing. And I know Sixo's exceptional, and I know there's so many exceptional toy photographers out there. But because he does so much chug stuff, it always draws me in. And the way he does with colours and shadows, the way he uses minimal light, and he's bouncing the light to light something up. So that's why you don't have this glare stuff, and which you see in my stuff all the time. Yeah, he's just brilliant.
And the fact that Liam is actually only 12 years old is all more impressive that he's learnt his photography skills at such a young
Eternally
age.
12.
Do you think he's Peter Pan?
Yeah, he is. Never ever ages.
Just don't tell Hilton.
Maybe you could do some entrapment, Pete, and dress up as Wendy, see if he falls for it.
Oh yeah.
We're taking a real turn now. Anyway.
People love a Butch Wendy. I feel this is the. I don't know which version of the book. Is this the action? Yeah, it is. It's the action edition. One. Yeah, but I feel like he wants to be saying like, "Are you not entertained?" Rather than.
Yeah, I get
his
that.
voices in his head. They can't. But again,
it's a reference to Randy Orton. the wrestler. As he's doing, Randy Orton climbs up onto the turnbuckles and he does this pose with his arms up in the air like that. And that's his music, the lyrics to his music. And yes, I'm a wrestling fan.
But like Jamie was saying, with the colours and the depth and stuff, with Liam's, again, Slife covers it perfectly.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit disappointed that Slife doesn't have a picture of Slife as his profile picture. Slife, if you're watching, please
Sort
get
it
it
out.
changed before next week.
Send him a message, Pete.
I'm going to. So whilst we don't often show pictures of professional artists and people that have worked on the comics, this picture by Guido Guidi has been replicated by Springer, who is well known for taking a piece of artwork or a comic cover or a storyboard and using characters to reenact it, and that is fantastic.
Wow. Yeah.
Really brilliantly done that.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I mean, it's such a cool piece of artwork anyway, but then, when you look at the editing and the pictures that he's done with it, yeah, fantastic. And I think this last one I saw earlier, and the Copperbot shots sums it up perfectly. It looks like a computer design, when really it's just a photo, and it's probably, they'll probably admit, how they're in the right lighting, how good modern day figures are now starting to look. Certainly the TF1 stuff, and I know we bang on about the challenges with the merchandise and the marketing and all of that stuff, but I think when you start to look at the figures, providing you don't transform Studio Series Optimus Prime, the rest of them are great.
There's what I'm lucky.
Yeah. But yeah, a great. I wasn't going to pick up that version of Prime because how many versions of Prime do you need from TF1? But
5.
Copper bot shots. Makes you want to get them.
Not opened it yet.
I was going to say.
And there's no more corners left for the socials.
Lovely.
Wow.
Right, thank you very much for that. We will move on then to our discussion time.
We now return to the Transformers.
Okay, so we said we'd start with the kind of negative, get that out the way. And I suppose, well, it is a negative, possibly, probably. And that is the news that Hasbro has made fairly significant layoffs. 100 people have been taken off their payroll, including John Warden. So how do we think that's going to affect the Transformers brand moving forward? And are we worried at all about what it means for Hasbro, who've tried to dress it up as streamlining their procedures by cutting out people who might be slowing things down, apparently? Which
with talent and ideas.
Yeah, with talent, ideas, and ability. Why would you want that, eh?
Yeah.
So, thoughts, people. How do we feel about this? Are we worried?
Well, this is corporate thinking guiding the decision. So, corporations at the minute aren't interested in your money; they want all of your money. So, the idea is that they will make profit every year, and they will make more profit the following year, more profit the following year, year on year forever, always making more money. And the easiest way to achieve that, when you're not actually producing more or selling more, is to cut your costs. And the most expensive thing that any company has to pay for is staff. So rather than just accept that Hasbro is a successful company that makes a lot of money dependably without going into the red or anything, because they're not growing quickly enough, they've decided to massage the numbers a little bit by cutting their overheads, and they've just dropped staff which have a lot of knowledge, legacy knowledge, because if they've been there long enough, they have the relationships with people with, say, Takara, the product knowledge, all of this stuff. And somebody pointed out that the head of Hasbro earns $15 million a year, and if he took a small pay cut, he'd still make more than $10 million a year, but they wouldn't have had to get rid of anybody. So the problem is, once you've cut things to the bone, what are you going to cut next? So the price of figures will have to go up. The amount of parts in the figure will have to go down. Possibly we're going to see things getting worse. I know I'm happy with Transformers figures as they are. They could be better, but I'm happy with Chug figures as they are. But I don't think I could stomach them getting any worse, any more hollow, not having wrist articulation or ankle tilts anymore. I'm used to ankle tilts. I've been spoiled. I want them on all my figures.
Or opening and closing hands.
I think that was so wonderfully explained, and I think I would use that as a soundbite for future episodes, just to remind people that well done, Lee.
I will credit Jim Stephanie Sterling, who is a video game writer, because they've done extensive essays on this topic. So if you want to learn more, Stephanie Sterling.
I think it's hard, isn't it? And I think the automatic response of most people is that emotional response that people, you know, are losing their job and stuff. And it's right, but I think we take a step back, and it is more than toys, right? It's a big corporation, and regardless, I think the emotional part of those redundancies, it's a massive machine, and it's not personal. You know, John Warden hasn't fallen. Well, he might have done, but you know, someone hasn't gone, right, let's cut John Warden. What they've done is
they specifically targeted legacy.
But
staff.
What you would have found is they'd have sorted it by salary, and then they would have gone line by line, and then pulled out those individuals, because the legacy staff are the ones that have probably been there the longest, that are earning the most coin. So that's where they'd have gone, and then, for argument's sake, they won't have taken 6 people out of a 7-people department. They'll have taken 1 from here, 1 from here, 1 from there, 1 from there. And that together will give them a collective saving, right, wrong, or indifferent. Now, that's not to say it's right, but that's the way they'll have done it. And they won't have realised the implications, because it will be sold as an opportunity for those people in that department to step up and start progressing their designs or their ideas.
But
because it is a cost-saving model.
If you look at the interview, though, I think with the fact that they're targeting, if you look at in the same way in education, you know, for example, instead of having one experienced teacher, you can have 3 new student teachers. And what happens is, when you lose legacy staff, or even when they do regimental cuts in the army or military, is the people who are coming up lose those mentors who would train them and give them the experience to move forward. So they're not having that. They're going to be stagnated. Which makes me think, in a business like that, they're going to know what's going to be the pitfalls of losing legacy staff. So it must be they're thinking about something else.
Hasbro's problem is that in the past couple of years, the design teams from every line have been front and center. They've been the face of Hasbro. Hasbro's been keen for us to know them on a first name basis, and to think of them when we think of the range. So when something new is being announced, out come the design team. There's our friend Evan, there's our friend BMAC, there's our friend John. So when they drop someone, it's not going to stay quiet, because the interconnected society we live in, we're going to know about it. And suddenly this big friendly company who's your mate, and look at all of the people we've got, we're one big happy family, they just go back to being faceless corporation again. And they can't keep doing that. So what you may see is that maybe there's a reversal of that. Maybe they pull the design teams back behind the curtain, and they just have marketing people do all the splurging again.
But they seem to be keen to make these people the new influencers, people they have direct control over. And of all Pete says, there's been some system where they're going down, maybe using a computer model to go by salary. I just can't but help but feel that there's been a little bit more methodical thought being put into this, you know, because
I don't think there was any malice in it. I do think that Pete's more correct.
But have you seen it? I mean, I've been in American boardrooms. I've been in studies with American boardrooms. It's full of fucking malice. It's all they're about is malice. If someone says the wrong comment, that person's remembered, and then suddenly they might not be there. The next time you go to the board meeting, you're thinking, well, where's that executive gone? You know, so I don't think that's a European thing. You know, when I've looked into German boardroom, I don't know what Britain's like at all. But I do know that American big business is full of malice and full of putting money first. And I sometimes think, you know, they've not maybe thought about this, that the potential damage they could do, you know, because I think when John's interview of what was beef, and as you said, was positive and it was very diplomatic, not like the headline I used in advert, but he speaks out. But he does point out that he's worried for the new younger people coming through, who, remember, it's not only about the engineering and the skills, but it's about the personal development, being able to stand on their own 2 feet and not be bullied and harassed by companies which maybe have a system in place where it seems to benefit people with narcissism rather than the actual abilities or likability. And I think that's a worrying model, whether you look at it.
Hasbro's loss is someone else's gain. So, yeah, John's being very diplomatic because he doesn't want to burn his bridges. Fair play to him. But I reckon any company that goes along and picks him up is getting a huge amount of ability and a huge amount of experience. But it's that human cost, that because we're seeing it front and center. We're seeing the human cost of this decision. Poor old BMAC had to go on Instagram and say, "Oh, I'm safe. I haven't been fired." Like he was caught up in a hurricane or something. You shouldn't. Nobody should have to do that because of their work.
This is true. Disto, do you have any feelings either way or about what's happened?
Well, I think the worrying thing is that this isn't the first year it's happened, does it? I mean, last year also announced of job cuts and all that. I mean, a lot of that was contributed to the Wizards had recently purchased D&D Beyond, and so there's a lot of people in duplicate roles. They didn't need 2 social media teams. They didn't need, 2 all that type of stuff. But it's like year after year, Hasbro announcing job cuts. So that's worrying, isn't it? In any realm. I don't know 100 staff. I don't know what that is for the footpad of the company. I don't know how many they have.
I've just gone for some mood lighting, by the way.
The
bulb in this room has literally just gone. Wow. Yeah. I'm going to soldier on in the darkness.
Put another 50p in meter, Andy.
Everything else is working. That wouldn't still be here.
Yeah.
As of December 2023, Hasbro has 5,082 employees.
Yeah. So, I mean, 100 is still quite a substantial part of that. I'm sure John Warden was probably got... I mean, was he on Power Rangers before and then got moved back, or was he?
He had just been announced to be leading the Transformers design team.
Yeah, but he'd gone over to Power Rangers, hadn't he, which had been cancelled.
It's strange that they would bring him in, though. Literally only a couple of months ago.
Yeah, I think they just didn't know where to put him for a bit, and I'm sure he's probably got a golden handshake.
Well, I hope so. I don't know what US severance packages are like, but he was in the UK. He got quite a bit due to his term.
Yeah, and I reckon there'd probably be a independent toy company Kickstarter within the next 12 months with his name on it, I should imagine.
Oh yeah, I fully expect him to land on his feet.
Yeah, but yeah, it is quite worrying that there's always these. It's year after year of cuts, and it will affect quality somewhere down the line.
Because I used to always imagine that it would be first in, first out. I mean, the last in, first out, sorry. So it'd be the younger people, the people who have just came in, rather than going for your more experienced.
But they're the big earners, aren't they? They're the ones who've been there the longest. Their pay will be the highest. So it could literally be a purely financial decision, and they're bringing through younger people who are cheaper and on lower wages and giving them the opportunity. But that's where you worry about the quality that we're going to get moving forward, because we've seen an awful lot of repaints. And repaints have always been part of Transformers, but it just feels at the moment there's a hell of a lot, like Galvatron.
That's if they replace those people, because they may just do the cuts and then there's more work for each individual who's left
Yeah.
behind. That's not going to streamline anything. That's going to add more
Well,
stress.
Might make it your designers do all the social media.
Yeah.
I think there is, and it's really hard because it sounds like I'm supporting it and I'm not, but there is a misconception that everyone's sat there with these piles of money. They're not. It's run strict because the money goes straight back into the share price and the stock market
pockets of the CEO and stuff.
And well, yeah, and that's fine. And you've got two choices. You work for the company or you don't work for the company. If you work for the company, you're signing up to them rules of engagement. You are there. You are paid to do a job. That's the crux of it. And whether that job is exceptional and you feel like that's worth more or worth greater respect, it doesn't come into it, and it's not personal, and it can be quite cutthroat, and it's horrible. And I think Andy's point where he said they're getting the younger people in. The problem is if you always keep the old guard, you will always do the same thing the same way.
Be successful. Innovation,
but how do you know if you can? How do you know if it will change if you don't trust?
There has to be turnover to bring in new ideas, but
yeah.
My advice: form a union.
Yeah.
I think if Paul was here as well. Paul's from a business background, like you are, Pete, and I think if Paul was here, he'd be not defending what Hasbro have done, but he'd be putting across that argument that you are about the realities of kind of big business, which seems very cutthroat to us and doesn't always make sense. Doesn't make it right, but I can see kind of like where you're coming from.
You keep that talk
right.
Feels harsh.
But the thing, I think the thing that made it interesting was that Paul was talking about legacy before, or as he said, the experience, and you tend not want to let go of your experience, good, exceptional people, because they make the company lots of money. And if they're getting rid of legacy, which John seemed to imply, then it's a bit worrying, because if you're cut.
Do we know that they were still making the money though? Because what the Hasbro sales been like? The recent figures they've released have suggested things have been declining. So maybe they've thought, right, we need to freshen it up. Just playing devil's advocate here. I'm not saying they're right.
Find out. We're going to find out in the next couple of years. I mean, this replacement line for Earthspark, we don't know anything about it yet, but a lot of the trademarking they're doing makes me think there's going to be an interactive online facet to it. So they're trying. It may be that they're trying to pivot towards making the action figures more work more with games and augmented reality or apps on your phone or something to try and entice kids in more, because tons of kids now just on iPads and on their phones all the time.
Yeah, that is true. That is the modern way, playing with toys as well.
The thing I worry about is like when you do these type of discussions, and I'm as guilty as anyone, is we often go into the grounds of, this is the real world, this is how the world works. And to me, that is what we get called, as a pub conversation. It's not an answer, because it's an answer which we started to accept, and people will use it all the time now. But it's not an actual genuine answer, because anytime you try to, if you write a scientific article and go, well, this is why, this is the real world, this is how, fuck straight away, you're going to get hit with every fucking acronym from Shakespeare's monkey to you're an idiot. And I always worry that sometimes we've let these people get away with this type of methodical thought, because you can see the logic behind it, because they've told us the fucking logic behind it. But you can see where there's other companies that have not done that, have protected their legacy workers and tried to protect the workers by making cuts up top. Where CEOs have started to take money, and I know they're not going to do that because they're greedy bastards. But the point is, you've had companies do that. Germany's a good example of that. That type of approach, and Japan's a good example of that type of approach as well. You could, if you did some searching in Google, you could probably come across companies which have tried to do that before they've ever went down to just hitting the workers first. And I think that's something as customers, because we're the people who buy the products, that maybe we could start to invoke some sort of change in the way they approach that. Make it known in social media that we're not happy. Maybe for once, maybe not buy the pre-orders that are coming out. I don't know, but
well, that could make a hopefully
Yeah.
a more positive change. And speaking of being more positive, let's leave that for now
Can
because we
I
don't.
just make-
Oh, go on, Bisto. Sorry.
So yeah, support that because we know who the current CEO of Hasbro is. Maybe he should have lost his job and not everyone else. Remember, whenever you're posting anything to do with Transformers on X or wherever, social media, use the hashtag #DickOut.
I thought it was Cox out.
Yeah, that's all well and good until you start getting DMs you didn't want.
Yeah. Or maybe we do, Lee. Maybe we do.
It's not instructions.
Send them to me. I'll sort them out for you.
Right. Let's move on to Transformers 1. So we had that kind of sharing of information that wasn't entirely accurate, that was slanted to kind of hook people in about Transformers 1 not getting a sequel. We do not know that at this point. Nobody knows that at this point, except maybe those people at Hasbro and Paramount. But if we get a Transformers 1 sequel, what would you want to see in it? What do you think it would look like? Are there any characters, any storylines you think need to be developed in that second part of the story? If you've not watched it and you don't want any spoilers, then
You should have watched it.
you should have bloody watched it. But if you really don't want any spoilers, this would probably be a good time to don't turn us off because it messes up the viewing figures. Just mute us for a while. Just mute us.
Like us and mute us.
Yeah. So, I mean, Lee, firstly, what did you think of the film? Did you enjoy it? And if there was a sequel, how would you like to see it go?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I've seen it twice now. I've already got the 4K release pre-ordered. I'm waiting for it to come on Paramount Plus. I'll watch it again on Paramount Plus. I'm not confident that we're going to get a sequel, if I'm honest. It's been very positive fan reaction to it, but the fans alone could not and were never going to make this a success. It had to be a success with the regular cinema going public. And unfortunately, the message wasn't out there and people haven't seen it. I think word of mouth will mean that it'll get a lot of views on streaming, and that'd be great. But I don't think that's going to materialize as an actual sequel. I would love it if it did. And if it did, I would hope that it would focus more on the characters who were already in the film, but who got their cogs at the end of it. So rather than bringing whole new characters, just look at Jazz, look at Chromia, look at RC, look at Hound, Ratchet, all of those characters. Give them something to do. Let them become part of the ensemble. If not, you could introduce the Dinobots, you can introduce the Constructicons, but I think that would be the limit of how many new characters you could introduce. And I think the first thing that needs to happen is they need to get rid of the Quintessons. So some sort of Quintesson war. I don't know how the Autobots and Decepticons would tackle that, if they'd have to team up at some point. But I think that would be the next film.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Quintesson thing, because the trailers really made it seem like the Quintessons were going to be a big part of the film. And actually, when you watch the film, they're not really in it very much. They're referred to a lot, but you only get that kind of one real big scene of them, and then that's it. So
and that could even get you off Cybertron for a little bit, because you could
maybe
go into
potentially.
space. But in Transformers 1, it suggests that all of the Transformers only live in Icon. So maybe there's other cities with other Transformers that weren't under Sentinel's influence, or maybe on his trips he went over like a bigamist, went to his other city and he was really carrying everyone there, and he just did a tour of all the cities on Cybertron, and the other cities don't know yet. And maybe the Autobots and Decepticons are racing each other to influence the populations of those cities.
Oh, like kind of like the West and the kind of like the USA and Russia trying to free the different places first. Yeah.
Does anybody else? Is there anything anybody else really wants to see? I think the Quintessons thing is we've got to see more of that, surely. And you'd imagine they're going to continue to develop the Optimus and Megatron story. Are they going to go straight to them right now? They're just complete enemies and who hate each other, or are we going to get more of that? Still, those kind of feelings of friendship that they have, even though obviously the ending of the film might suggest that most of that is gone.
I could see Megatron trying to exploit Prime's feelings for him, but I think Megatron's pretty much severed now all ties with Prime.
I've seen suggestions that maybe it could come back if we don't get a second film, that perhaps it should be turned into more of a series. So that could be the next Transformers cartoon series. Although we have a cartoon series, we assume coming along, that we could go along in that direction.
I think it can still be saved if the merchandise does well and the long-term merchandise starts to come in. I think they've screwed up the merchandise because they've not drowned in the sea, and there's stuff coming next year, blah blah blah. But I think I think they've got to realise that they fucked up. The different dates that had it coming out, putting it against one of the best animated films that's been released in the last decade as well. So I had a tough fucking time, and they made it harder. It's almost like they really wanted to fail. And so I think with the merchandise and stuff like that, and the new world it's brought in, I hope that, because I know they've already planned out the second film, which if you listen to podcast of excellent Triple Takeover guys have got it fleshed out what they want to do, and that's half the battle, to have that idea and have it ready to go with crazy stuff. It makes you excited. So they've got that. You've got wonderful talent ready to go, who now will make it easier. It will be cheaper to do, because they've already invented all the technologies they did the first time around to make it, and you're going to have that experienced staff, so you should be kicking it in right now, going in there, and you've got, yes, go for it, guys, ride it.
I think I like the idea of, there has been a lot of good stories in the past. I mean, if you even take the War for Cybertron, that Dark Energon piece from, the Align continuity, is that the segue, to finish the second film with the fact that Cybertron is, imploding, from a resource perspective. And that third film is where they go off into the galaxy. And what's that, that lineup is through the second film is Prime and the Autobots trying to stop Megatron harnessing the full power of Darkon or something similar, like that, because I want to see him continue the story arc between Megatron and Prime, but I don't want it just to be about Megatron and Prime. I think, like Lee said, there's so many other characters that they've kind of touched on with glimpses and stuff. You could have several different, avenues, and it just gets boring after a while, doesn't it? It's like Prime v Megatron, Prime. What does that story need to look like? And I think Jamie's right, is the fact that you've got the foundation. I mean, you could go and have a 2-3 series cartoon series that set yourself up to the second film. Right now, the fact that we're going off in a different direction with a cartoon that has probably got nothing to do with the film is ridiculous. And they're trying to make this a multi-million, billion, whatever. And again, it's not aligned, but we covered this the other week, and they're not going to, so we might as well just leave it. But I think, a kind of I think you need to start, middle, end, but that end needs to lead on to that third film is going to be the end of the trilogy. Where did they go? I think.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the second and apparently third film. The director Josh Gurley said he's got an idea outlined of where the films would go, so they know what they want to do with it. Yeah. But they have to get it greenlit by the film company, by Hasbro, and that's where. Do you think that the streaming and the sales of the film through that, and like Jamie said, the merchandising could maybe rescue that? That could maybe give them the chance for that?
If Paramount sees the streaming figures and they're really good, then that would push them to commission something. Because the film was financed by Paramount and Hasbro together, so both were kind of protected by.
Was there a third company involved?
I think there was, but I don't know who.
Yeah, I can't remember.
So the costs were split, and if the film breaks even and gets its marketing budget back, then there's been no real loss, and Hasbro would have made money because they're the ones who have got all the merchandising rights. They obviously aren't going to give those to anybody else because they're the ones making the toys and handing out the licenses. So it's up in the air. But then if you look at the decisions that Hasbro's making at the moment, they're probably gonna on the side of not spending money rather than spending money.
See, I kind of hope.
Is it?
Sorry.
Is it been
No, I
released
interrupted
everywhere in the world yet? Or I mean,
It's out now, isn't it?
France was last because it deserves to be. But
right.
And a big hello to all our French fans out there. Who are currently siding
obviously,
with the
you
Welsh.
know, Russia's not a hot topic as it used to. Well, you know, Russia's bad now.
With
as it always
China's
has.
the big market, apart from Europe and America, that they're going to be looking at.
Yeah,
China really likes the live action stuff, so maybe
Yeah.
that will follow on.
because the reason why there was so many Ice Age films is because Russia loved it. Right, the Russians came out in droves to watch Ice Age films. No one else was watching them. So there
Anything to
can
do with
be
the
like,
Cold War.
yeah, but you know, you can have these localized areas that drive that where they'll make decisions to make movies because one particular region just completely goes out for it, whereas it doesn't really do well in other places. That does happen. So, like I say, it's still fresh. I think, like Pete, I'm thinking in this sense of a trilogy. I think the third film is, the Exodus. That's what we'd like to see. I'd like to see a series in between the first and the second movies, a la Clone Wars, that fills in the gaps. So the Quintesson Wars could be, we deal with the Quintessons in a separate series, on over, and then just do a time skip for the second movie. And I think Transformers Devastation, where we deal with, I'd like to kind of start it with the first part of the Underbase saga, where you have Prime and crew going against Decepticon's crew. Megatron's trying to get this Hall of Knowledge from Cybertron. Optimus Prime stops him, but to stop him, he has to eject the underbase into space. And then we forget about it, and we can leave that till the third set of trilogy films. We can deal with the underbase in a separate film somewhere else, and we're just putting, throwing seeds out for that. But then it kind of, some knowledge does get taken. It reveals where the Enigma combination is. Maybe it's in Crystal City, which is a city that's neutral to the war. And so Megatron goes to corrupt the Constructicons. Prime goes to try and convince Omega Supreme to join the war. And that's kind of the crux of that movie, is kind of got to be Devastator versus Omega Supreme. That is the big fucking ticket that we're selling.
They've got millions of years of the war that they've got to get through. So, like you say, they've got to time skip as we go along. And the second film, you'd imagine, would be kind of like the war really breaking out, because the war hasn't essentially started yet, has it? I mean, it kind of has, because they've had this fight, but that was really just between Megatron and Optimus. So you've got that could be the second film. The question you've got to ask is, are they just going to do the usual thing of, right, if there was a third film, Unicron, got to chuck him in there somewhere, we've got to have him because he is the big bad of the Transformers universe? Or would they go with the Exodus to what would eventually be them arriving at Earth, surely?
Or like they did with the Align continuity, the Exodus, Earth is the end point of the Exodus. On the way to Earth, in the Align continuity, they come across the colonies, come across Junkyard, Velocitron, Beast Planet, all of this stuff.
I don't think you need any Beast Wars.
I like
Junkyard. I was thinking of the Beast Planet with Battle Beasts, actually, Pete. I was thinking G1 Beasts.
Those you can have. Those you can have.
I like to think, using the launchpad of Transformers 1, and the fact is I've got crazy ideas going out there. I think the next movie would involve dealing with the Quintessons directly. I think thinking that there's so much knowledge they don't know about, there would be other cities out there, there would be other planets with Cybertronian type life. You know, could they be colonies, or could they be sister worlds or brother worlds, whatever way you want to call it, cousin? You know, there could be a whole life out there because they don't know. They had all that information controlled, and you don't know something. You know, it's easier to control a population. So I think there'll be discovery. I think there might be a Cold War as such between the Megatron and Optimus Primes with bursts happening, because, you know, I don't see a full scale war between them unless the Quintessons are dealt with. I think they have to be dealt with, and I'd like to think of it. Maybe there's crazy stuff going on, and I know we don't like the idea of time travel, but I think time travel might be thrown in there because it's a new relaunch. They don't need to follow the time scale of what the movies were like or what the cartoons were like millions of years or billions of years and catch up. They can do what they want, and they might go into another dimension even and discover Earth through that way. They might not even get to Earth yet. I like to think what those writers done, I think, was marvelous, and I think that they achieved that because they didn't have people like me probably giving them bad ideas, and I think that's the great thing about being a fan. Sometimes is sometimes we get to enjoy something, and sometimes we got to let go. And I really want to see that second film get done because I want to see what they came up with. I desperately do, you know. So China, I know China's been putting some good music with the trailers and stuff. They've actually been putting some of their talented, really pushing the stuff. We don't get to see it in social media because the social media is so controlled over there. But I know they've been really pushing it with, you know, with some top class Chinese songs out there, going with the trailers. So yes, come on, China, make that dream come true. You owe it. Do you know how much Chinese roast stock I've been eating to support China? You know,
single-handedly keeping the economy going in China.
Have they got like a star-studded voice cast as well, or are they?
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure they will. Yeah, I'm sure they will. All the biggest stars. It's such a shame that it is, without a doubt, it's an improvement on the live action Bayverse movies. Yet it could, I'm not saying it is, but it could be considered a flop compared to them, which just seems kind of bizarre when you think of the quality of the film. But then there are other factors in it, I suppose, that even good films can sometimes not do well at the cinema, like the original Transformers the movie, of course.
I recommend that you go on YouTube and watch some movie reviewers watch Transformers 1, which I was doing yesterday and today. They love it. They're not Transformers fans. They just react to movies, but they think it's great. They love it. And
it's getting everybody to go and see it, isn't it? This is the thing, getting it out, that message out there to people. I've had talked to people who aren't Transformers fans, and I've been trying to encourage them to say, but do you enjoy science fiction films? Yes, then you will enjoy this film. You don't have to be a Transformers fan to enjoy this film. It helps, of course it does, but you don't have to be. I mean, as I've discussed, my kids, Kobe, who's 15 now, not a Transformers fan at all, but he really enjoyed the movie, and he was really engaged with it, and he's seen all the Transformers films, and he thinks that's one of the best ones he's ever seen. He was really pleased with that, and that's what you want. You know, those people, like, you know, I don't know if your partners felt the same way, but my partner's not a Transformers fan, probably quite the opposite in some ways, and she loved it, and she thought it was great, just a great film, and that's what we need. We need those people to be going to watch it, not just us, because, you know, we can go to the cinema so many times, but I don't know if there's enough of us to go enough to make this film like $1 billion hit. So yeah, just getting that message out there, I guess, and hoping people take it on, because I think it would be a great shame if we don't get a sequel out of this, or at least something else that carries it on when we finally got a really good Transformers film.
Yeah.
Who should we pick it if it doesn't get a sequel? I mean, I can give pitchforks. I don't know, supply false teeth so we can gnash them together. I don't know, torches is a bit of a safety hazard these days because of the fire and stuff. But
as opposed to the pitchforks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fine. You can just walk around the streets with them nowadays.
No, obviously the pitchforks will be made from paper.
Corks,
as long as you've got a can of lager in the other hand, I think they'll let you get away with it.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Hashtag cans.
It's just a shame we didn't even have a tie-in comic book series at all, or anything like that.
I think
does
that
feel
would be excellent for streaming. I think if they could do like Warner Brothers does with the adaptions for the DC superheroes.
They're bringing out an art book. I know it's not exactly what we
that's
want,
great.
but that is something, and I think we could make that a success if everyone was to get that book.
Kids
You know.
buy art books.
It just
Sorry,
always
Bill.
it felt to me that there wasn't really the proper push on the film. It's not to say there wasn't advertisement and I have seen toys in the stores before the film had come out, but it never felt like that kind of massive push that we got with the live action films.
Or there's no
like that.
ancillary media for people of the appropriate age.
Yeah. Comic books. Where's the accompanying comic book that kids can buy in the shop, the newsagents, whatever? Where's the TV, the cartoon series that's tied in? And I think Hasbro have a habit of that. When you look back at the live action movies, and we had a fantastic series like Animated, which they then supposedly part of the reason why they cancelled that was because they wanted something that was more related to the movie. So we got Transformers Prime, which had links to the movie verse, but was still different from the movie verse. And there never seems to be that alignment with Hasbro and whichever companies they're working for, where they get all the ducks in a row and say, right, let's hit them like we did back in the 80s with comic books, with the toys, with cartoons, with whatever. I don't know. Maybe that's because we're a bit older now.
Lying in a bowl. Maybe it was lying in a bowl at the time.
The kids still watch Transformers in the same.
It has happened. It has happened since. Armada was a big revival. Animated was a big revival.
But they were a different age, weren't they, Lee? Because if you think about like what kids have now with what kids are interested in, like you said, they're all sat on their iPads, their phones, they're watching YouTube. YouTubers are the new TV stars. You know, my kids know more YouTubers than they do people who are on TV. Far more.
Is there a Transformers Prime like gacha game on the phones, or
Yeah.
Oh, they tried that with Robots in Disguise 2015, didn't they? You scanned the toys and then you played on the app.
Yeah, they did. I remember that. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if we seem downbeat about this or not. It's a great film, and I think we'd all love to see it kind of continued and kind of pushed along, but we are just going to have to wait and see, aren't we?
So, do you think it would be Transformers 2 or Transformers 1 suffix, another word?
I want them to call it Transformers 1-2.
Yeah, but then what about when we get to Transformers 12? It's just
I think it'll be Transformers 2. I think if you think about it, Transformers 1, they kind of linked it into them, like Optimus Prime says, we are all one. So that's and they do something different for the second film, you know?
We had
Transformers Autobots. We are all Autobots. And
or Transformer Decepticons, or
Transformers fucked. We are all fucked. That kind of thing.
I refer you to The Madness of King George III movie, which is an excellent movie. But when they released it in America, they had to take the 3 off the end because the Americans would have said, well, I haven't seen the first 2.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember that story.
Oh, yeah.
Because they might have thought it was the third one.
They should have, or maybe they should call the sequel Transformers 1 Generation, so we can have G1 and 1G.
Yay!
Really, like.
Do you know what Dave makes? Dave makes a really good point in the fact that the new animated. I say it's new. It's not now. It's probably been out 8 to 12 months. Mutant Mayhem has got a load of tie-in media, toys, everything. And it's setting up perfectly to go to Mutant Mayhem 2. And I think that is a blueprint that we're talking about in terms of keeping it going up to the next film rather than it just falling off a cliff.
Even the Batman has got the Penguin on at the moment.
Which is excellent. Which is an excellent
really
news, by the
is.
way.
And an new animated TV show as well.
Yeah, that's true as well. And that's pretty good as well.
Yeah.
But
TMNT is also.
They haven't got it all together, have they? Like we just discussed, they haven't. Hasbro and the film company, whatever, they just don't seem to all be aligned on pushing this.
Jumping onto these business ideas, so they've tried to open a studio, they've tried to open a film studio, they've tried to open a TV company, they've tried to open a game company, and eventually they just sell them on without really exploring the potential properly. They've all these big ideas, but they don't have the fun.
They accidentally made perhaps one of the best games in history in Baldur's Gate 3.
Well, in that case,
which we don't have any action figures for.
Yeah, where's the action figures? Where's the comic book? Where's the cartoon?
I mean,
where's my Carlock?
It's launched in PC and consoles, that you name it, and everyone's went, yeah, this is the best game that's ever been made, and Hasbro's not even cheerleaded that. You know what I mean? Seriously, fucking idiots. How could you make? I mean, that's an IP onto itself. I mean, literally, you talk about games which were great 2 decades ago, 3 decades ago, and they're still talking about them now. And it's like Hasbro's going out of its way to let's kill Baldur's Gate because it's too good.
Yeah, well, they've got all that face. They do all that, face printing technology where you can get your own custom mini, figures with your face on it. You could literally do like the player character from Baldur's Gate 3 and get your own face on it. They could sell that, market it, slap it on a box, and it's done. And they've not done it. Money on the table. They've left it there.
Right. Well, we've been going now, lads, for 2.5 hours, and I think
2.5
we've
quality
covered a lot of
hours.
this. 2.5 hours of quality, as always. But,
You've got to wrap it up in 12 seconds, otherwise it's going to ruin me.
Well, thank you very much to everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you to our guests. Thank you to Spiderfather. Thank you very much to Bisto. Thank you very much to Pete and Jamie as well. And find us all on social media.
Thank you very much,
on
guys.
Facebook. Follow TF the show on Twitter and Transformers the show on Instagram, and just follow Pete on wherever you can find him. He's not everywhere.
Yeah.
He's too old to use certain things. And Lee, is there anywhere people can find you, particularly apart from in your house?
Yeah, just find me on Twitter. You'll find links to me there. At Mellowshade is Twitter, and then you can find
There's
me.
links as well.
Oh, links are in the description.
Yes,
because
links in the description.
And I'm doing a lot more on Instagram now because Jamie's been very helpful with advice.
Oh, that's very kind of him. Bisto, where can we find you?
You'll find me on YouTube at Bisto Yeti, and on Instagram at Formers and Figures, where you'll just see headshots of toys, basically.
Very good headshots. And on X, of course. See you on X as well with a bit of this.
Vaguely, really.
Every now and again.
Right. I do recommend you follow these guys, Pistol Yeti and Lee Spiderfather, all these acronyms. Spiderfather goes into great depth on Twitter, gives you stories. He's also in Blue Sky, where you'll talk about the characters, where he's come from, his thoughts and that. So I recommend that stuff, especially if you like me. You can read it, steal that information, pretend to talk about it just almost the show.
Best way.
Free.
Best way. Steal it.
Yeah.
Even if you've been given it. Right. Thank you again for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Thumbs up, guys.
It's time for Transformers, the show! From Michael Bay to Marvel UK, everyone on in between. Breaking news and toy reviews, every robot fans wet dream. Grab a brew and join the crew, become part of our scene. Bring your mom, let's drink her own, make sure you're at least 18. Welcome to the show, the party and let's roll. Friday night, let's go, Transformers the show. Friday nights, let's go! Transformers, the show! Transformers, the show!
Good show. Well done.
Still live. Did you not?
Why did you not end it?
Oh, good job in this
Welcome
one,
to Transformers the show. Episode
Play
2,
the
47.
outro. It should be ending. Right.
It's time for Transformers, the show!